Hi, everybody. My name's Broden from the Flow State Podcast. We're back. It's episode 52. We got Tommy Russell here. So sit the hell down and enjoy yourself, or I'm coming to find you, and it's not going to be fun.
Okay. Tommy, thanks for joining us, Broden. That was good. Good start. Really good start.
Cheers, everybody, first off.
Yeah, everyone have a beer.
Cheers, Yep.
It's good to have you in the studio again, Tom. It's been, it was last year.
It's been a while. Yeah, it must be nearly a year, is it?
Yeah.
Crazy time.
I think so.
Can I just immediately apologise for being late? I'm sure you'll be able to, what's the word for it? You'll know where I'm coming from with this. Some guy started aggressively tailgating me. So I've had to drive the whole way here at 50 k's an hour.
Oh, yeah, no. Understandable.
Like
100%. You can't just let people do that to you.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I just want to join the police force so that I can drive at the speed limit, and then when clowns like that overtake me, just wind her up. I get so much pleasure out of doing that. I could be that guy.
You go good on highway patrol.
100% I could be that guy.
Because you could rip them to pieces as well, because you're stacked, so you could do it.
Yeah, I don't know about the highway. Well, maybe the highway patrol. So I drive out one of these back roads here that there's like a 10k straight stretch of road that I will guarantee you no human being has ever come to any damage on. It's just as straight as a die, but that's why they put the speed cameras. Mm-hmm. So those are definitely revenue racing. They're definitely revenue racing. Like there's no safety factor going on there. Nope. Like go to the places where people get killed. That's definitely not that stretch of road. No. So I'm very anti, certainly that aspect of it. And, I actually, it's a bit of a bugbear of mine. Like I think, which they probably are with those speed cameras, but that they should be entirely disassociated from the police force, because the police force are there to protect and serve.
Yeah.
Not to fucking revenue raise from the Victorian government.
Yeah.
And I think like there's a problem with it because it makes me not like police persons.
Well, because a lot of cops are good at the highway patrol, even within the police force.
Listen, why would you or I ever interact with policemen? Like, I don't interact with policemen or policewomen. All I do is, like, have to rage at people whenever I'm going 2 k's over the speed limit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether police are good, bad, or indifferent, but I do know that it fucks me off whenever you get pulled over for driving 6 k's over the speed limit.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed that your speedo versus, like, say, your maps will say that's a different speed? Because my speedo is about 5 k's faster than it actually is. So I'm doing 100 and I'm actually doing 95. And then, everyone get your phone out, put maps on and see how fast you're going. And then you find the average of that. 6 people in the car, all on the phone, especially the driver. You just look at your phone while you're driving, and then you
great idea.
Then you just get the average speed. But I've noticed that my phone or whoever else's phone in the car always says it's about 5 or 6 k's underneath what my speedo says.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to be, though, isn't it?
So I suppose if you're really hooking it,
but I'm going to suggest, without knowing, that you compensate for that. Drive everywhere at 109.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's a ratio. Because if it's 50. You'll be at like 47.5, but if you're at 100, it's like 5 solid k's lower.
Yeah.
So there's a fucked up little ratio there going on. But if, obviously judge it carefully, but I've always noticed that if you get pulled over if you're doing 130 because that says you're doing 117 in a 110 zone or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's this very strange little phenomenon that maybe it's for our own safety, yes, but at the same time, I don't want to be lied to about how fast I'm going. I want to get where I'm going.
Well, I'm busy, yeah. The schedules.
The psychology behind getting so angry when people are like tailgating you and stuff like that, or if someone smacks your car with their hand or something, it's like, hey, slow down, I'm trying to cross the road. It's like we all see the car as an extension of ourselves when we're in it.
Yeah.
So when anyone's doing anything that you see it as a disrespect to you personally as a person. Like when someone's tailgating you, you get insulted. Like they're saying I'm slow. Like I'm personally slow.
Richie that I used to train with, he thinks, which is what I subscribe to, he thinks that it's the same as internet keyboard warriors, like giving you shit on Facebook. He thinks that it's just a protective bubble.
Like in a car.
Yeah, you're in a protective bubble, so you can do whatever the hell you want.
No.
But then every now and again, that guy gets out of the car and comes back and smashes his hand.
He's got a baseball bat.
through your window. Mistakes have been made.
I won't mention any names, but there was a gentleman who was running for council in Bendigo, and he was a cyclist, still is a cyclist, and there was at one stage he was road raged by a car, and the car wrongfully cut him off, and so he was within his rights to go, hey mate, you messed up here, this is a bad idea. But instead of doing that, he got his phone out and filmed himself going up to the car and kicking off the side mirror of the car and being like, fuck you, you shouldn't, I'm a fucking cyclist, and then posted it to his Facebook and ruined his chances
Sounds like
of
a
getting into
cyclist
the council.
to me.
What a nutcase.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting way
Is
to
he
go
though?
about
Because
Yeah.
I feel like we all have moments when we would do it.
Yeah. I've
not film
done
it.
it. I would never film it.
that. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And not put it on your running for council page.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be running for council and be doing that shit.
Yeah, you put me in councillor, I'll kick
I'm
your
going to vote
windows
for him.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. Get a bit of excitement in there. It was exciting when Trump got in for that element because you just didn't know what was going to happen next.
It looked like a
You know.
exciting
Yeah, and as you
ride.
know, I'm very vehemently pro-Trump. I still feel he did nothing wrong.
Yeah. You hold that belief?
Tell me what he did wrong.
I couldn't
I can't-
because
I
I
don't
don't
know.
follow it close enough. But at the same time, no, I mean, I'm going to say nobody died. Quite a lot of people died in like riots and stuff like that. But I don't know anybody who died, so everything should be fine.
Name the last president before him. So he didn't bring
I don't
America
remember.
to war.
I don't know him.
No, but I'm going back through history. He didn't bring America into the war. Name the last president who didn't do that. It's like literally
Couldn't tell you.
before World War II.
Yeah.
What year?
Craziness.
That was World War II was 41?
39 to 45.
39,
yeah.
45. I was watching a documentary last night about a painter, a Polish painter. I can't remember his first name was Stan. They called him Stas for short, and his last name was Zalaxi or something like that.
Yeah.
He was a Polish artist, and he was once asked by Hitler or by Goebbels or something like to make a monument to these people for their town square or whatever the fucking Nazis wanted their monuments for. And he goes, I'd love to send you a picture. I'd love to do you a drawing to send. So he sent back a drawing of Hitler in a tutu doing ballet
Right?
back to them, and they sent one back, a very diplomatic, saying, unfortunately we're unable to accept this work to put up as a monument. And he's like, fuck you. He's
Can't
not going to
believe
do
he's-
any work for Nazis.
Did they not just immediately...
Well, they eventually bombed his hometown and destroyed hundreds and hundreds of his sculptures and artworks, which forced him to flee to America and die in anonymity. So,
doesn't surprise me.
everybody gets what they deserve.
Well, you just can't be messing with the man, and I feel like at the time he was the man.
Unfortunately, he was.
He was the man, yeah. You say what you will about Hitler. He was the man.
No, not like, hey, he's the man. Not like Colonel Sanders was the man.
Yeah.
He was the man, but he was the
No,
man,
they all, like
not to be fucked with.
sticking it to the man. That
Yeah,
man.
like the man, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Not like, not someone to be emulated or looked
Yeah,
up
not
to.
like Samuel Jackson, the man. Like,
Sam the man.
So Tom, before, it's been a while between drinks, having you on, and in between, I know you were excited about this when we spoke to internationally renowned conspiracy theorist David Icke.
Your words.
What were your thoughts? Yeah, what were your thoughts on the discussion that we had with David? Because I know you listened to it.
Well,
Thought it went super well. I mean, I think one of the things is, he's a much more significant person in my life than he probably is in your life because he was my generation and he was he was a prominent sports journalist, TV sports journalist.
Yeah.
And just went, again, my words, not yours, completely off the rails. Like
I would
completely
use those.
just woke up one morning and was
I'm
into
God.
this
I'm the
purple
son of God.
tracksuits. And I mean, it was almost like Scientology off the rails. Just
It was that same sort of spiritual. There's a door in your brain that can be opened, and once it's opened, it will not. You just can't close it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think his door opened.
His door opened, and the
Everything
hinges fell off.
Yeah, there's no door there.
And then the door disappeared and became
Yeah.
sliding doors that never closed.
Yeah.
But
It's
the
like-
only
it's
thing
like
was, so I listened to the podcast. So obviously, he was talking a lot more about the conspiracies surrounding vaccination and just the general COVID,
The
whatever
mask
type
thing, yeah.
conspiracies. A lot of it made good sense to me.
Mm.
Like a lot of his conspiracies didn't sound that conspiratorial to me.
Yeah, I think he's gotten very good at. And look, he seemed to me to be a really nice
Yeah.
bloke on a personal level.
Yeah.
But I think he might have got really, really, over time, he's just gotten really good at convincing people. And, he didn't really let us talk about what we wanted to talk about. We didn't really want to mention COVID, but we didn't want to say, stop talking about that either, because
I felt like that he, I mean, as a mechanism to stop that kind of two-sided conversation, to just go off onto the tangent immediately, because we didn't. It wasn't even a hi. He wasn't even a hi, guys. He didn't even mention our names. You know what I mean? He just called us fellas.
Hey, fellas.
It's not like, hi, I'm Broden and this is Cody. Oh, hello, Broden. Hello, Cody. It was just like, all right, boys. Now let me tell you, the censorship stuff is off the rails.
Well, so I was going to bring that
Straight
up. I mean,
away.
because I think it was a coup that you boys did. Because, like, I mean, you can argue the toss, but we live, you'd like to hope, in a democracy in Australia, and yet he was shut down
Yeah.
for maybe on the face of it reasonable reasons, but still, you've either got free speech or you don't have free speech.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
There's no two
everything's
ways.
okay or nothing is.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Especially, when it comes to, like, comedy especially, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you can either say something, whatever it is, as offensive as it is, or you just can't do anything because you just never know who's going to be in the audience and what they've gone through. So once you start pinpointing, oh, they've got an issue with that, and then that person up there's got an issue with your next joke, it's like, fuck it.
Well,
Where does
that's
it
one
end?
of the big troubles with the law in Australia, and I presume in the Western free world now. Like, the trouble is that the law, it's not about intent anymore, it's about reception.
Yeah, intent's
So,
irrelevant
like,
now.
So I can take whatever exception to whatever the fuck you say in whatever way I want, and I'll be right and you'll be wrong.
No matter what.
It's such a slippery slope. Like, you're, comedians especially, you're on thin ice all the time. Because, I mean, you have to rattle cages a lot of the time to be funny. Certainly to be relevantly funny or to be satirically funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't do that because, I take offence to that.
But yeah, in every joke, someone's getting offended. That's what it's meant to be.
You can't pick your own audience either. You can't go around and say, oh, I don't think they should be there because they've had this and because they've had that.
Yeah.
We had, I had somebody tell me off, not tell me off, but pull me aside about a joke that we did in our Bonk City episode. And he goes, oh, well, old mate's had that happen to him in his life. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do. But it's not like we were thinking of that at the time. We're going, oh, this will be funny if we make fun of that.
Yeah, we wrote it in spite.
Yeah, exactly.
read about it.
That'll be funny to mess with this nicest guy in the world who had a horrible thing happen to him. Yeah, this will be funny. I'll pick on him. No, it was just part of the thing that made the story absurd and was...
How arrogant is it to think that you can walk through life not getting offended?
Yeah.
And you have control of that.
Yeah.
Like, no one has the right to say, I shouldn't be offended. And it's really fucking arrogant to think
I'm
that
fucking
you
offended
can
by
go
that.
through life.
I'm offended by that, Cody. I
yeah,
think you should have said
the
it.
most arrogant
So-
people in the world. Just shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's annoying, but yeah, David was, what was his thing? He couldn't get into the country because it was...
They said that he was saying anti-Semitic things in his speeches.
Yeah, because he puts all those Jewish people that are in the...
He said they
Illuminati.
were all lizards, right? And,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
the sheer fact that they didn't let him in makes him maybe more right? Is that... No?
I don't know.
Don't know. Is that a thing that they because
I
they
thought it had
shut him
something to do
down?
with the way that he was anti-vaccine propaganda, but if it's
Yeah, no,
Nah,
it was
anti-Semitic,
anti-Semitism. Yeah, that was it.
Jewish lizardiness,
Yeah.
that seems preposterous.
Yeah, for them to actually take it so serious that, yeah, he's spreading. Yeah, 'cause I think he did call them lizards.
Yeah, that's the hard part about going into this thing blind too. I mean, not blind. We know as much as we can know about this guy, but obviously there's stuff that you glaze over because it's so boring and irrelevant. So you can't obviously get into everything that he's ever said. The guy's like, one of the other defenses too is just like, have you ever listened to any of my work? And it's like, yeah, I have. Well, I've written 23 books on that. And I'm like, I haven't had time to read 23 of your ravings. You know what I mean? 23.
Yeah, and I feel like, even if he has kind of come full circle and kind of get, I can't believe he's still like relevant.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
any
well, he
human
shot
being
up
on the planet.
again into...
Well, I thought then that's the internet does that, eh? But like whenever he went from being David Icke sports reporter into David Icke raving loony,
Yeah.
like he was
yeah. Why did everyone
nothing
forget
but a
that?
figure of fun, nothing but a figure of fun for
And
years.
for more than 10, maybe 20.
He was saying he couldn't go. There was a point in time when he couldn't even go into a pub anywhere in England without people just...
Yeah, laughing at him.
Yeah.
Like I'm 100% sure of that. Like he had a public from the outside. He had a very, very public mental breakdown, is what it looked like from the outside.
Yeah, well, even the things he was saying about hearing voices and stuff, to me, That's just good old-fashioned schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Good old paranoid schizophrenia.
Psychosis, yeah.
And delusions of grandeur too. It's just like, when I don't often feel this way, if ever, but it's like when like, you are the best, you can do this, you are the son of Jesus Christ or whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those massive, huge megalomania situations where you just feel so unimportant and so hopeless at the time that you come up with some great story that you're the center of the world in that story. You're the Harry Potter, you're the Truman,
I mean, it's certainly a marker for psychotic type stuff, like, isn't it?
For sure.
It is, yeah.
For sure. Well, have a look at some of the followers, man. Like,
well, I've seen footage of him recently at anti-lockdown rallies where there's like 10,000 people in London all there, and he gets up and he does a speech like he's Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
but those speeches are cogent and well thought out. And
he's good. He's really good speaker, and he's actually.
I probably agree with an awful lot of it. That's to say, he's like kind of gone full circle and made himself sensibly relevant again. You know what I mean?
And some of the things that
he comes across as more intelligent than perhaps he did when he was first. Having the transition.
He's had a lot of time to think about it, really, and some of the things that he says, like, because you go, I think I'll catch him out on that. And the funny thing is, he will say something like, you don't have to wear a mask. What are you talking about? I'm not bloody doing it. And then he'll go, but I understand that people that work need to feed their families and they still have to do that. And the thing a lot of people forget about David Icke is he hasn't had to work for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because he, I don't know how good he was at pro soccer, as a pro football, as a goalie, but he was then BBC. He was then a spokesperson for the Greens. So he was probably on a good wicket for a while. Back in the day when you could buy a house in the UK for £75,000 or probably less. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I mean, like, he certainly would have had a reasonable career whenever he probably would have at least been able to get himself set up.
Exactly. At least with at least a single home. And now we're in the situation where 500,000 Australian will get you something with 2 bedrooms and a fucking little backyard. And so, like, he hasn't had to be on the grid necessarily like everyone else. Hasn't had to do all those things because he's got the income streams from these books that he's writing, which are funded by, for as far as we know, himself, depending on his success, or his kids working towards getting his success running. He could have a couple of rental properties. He could have some income streams from that. We don't know, but we can't just go off the grid.
I wanted to know, because he's got a fat stack of money somewhere. In a mattress somewhere, because he's not paying taxes, is he?
And he doesn't. Oh well, I don't know. He's definitely not going down the bank.
He's not going. His money's not in any bank because he hates the world. He hates the bank. He hates the global economy. Hates everything about it.
Let the lizard people handle my money. I think not.
But he's selling
that
books.
for a game of soldiers.
Yeah. I'm not bloody doing it. But he's selling heaps of books.
Yeah,
he's selling heaps of books.
Heaps.
Oh, we bought 10 each. So.
Yeah. No, he sells enough books. Yeah. But he's not on the charts, I don't think.
No.
He definitely sells them through his website.
It's a slow burn.
And he does a lot of touring. And he does
I feel like the
8-hour talks.
Like,
big.
Tickets from those things have got, like, they'd
Where's
be
his money?
Pumping it. Well, that's a good question.
He's not paying taxes. And he's not using the bank.
Yeah.
Is he? What bank's he going to...
Exactly. What bank is he going to use? What bank do you think David Icke would trust? Would he go, you know what, I really like what you're doing there. I'm going to hide my money with you.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt it's going to go anywhere.
He's got his own lockup somewhere. Some bunker. With money in it like Breaking Bad. Surely. He has to.
What do you reckon the password would be on that safe?
Lizard. I hate lizards.
Illuminate.
Yeah. So he didn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about the lizard stuff very much anymore.
No.
Which is interesting because it's like he's really struck gold and he's staying in that lane.
Yeah.
Now, and he's not. I think he's being very careful not to deviate back and have people call him out for being a money bastard again.
Yeah.
So he's staying, when he does interviews with people like us, he's always just like, I'm just going to talk and I've got these things and papers.
Yeah.
I know a few doctors. I was speaking to them and he's referencing doctors and scientists and stuff. And we're like, I'm not smart enough to counter-argue that.
We can't stop him.
Like,
actually, can we see the paperwork for that one, please? And that's the thing is, I thought it would be great
even
to talk.
The paperwork. So I've got a mate that, so another vet mate of mine.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a conspiracy theorist and he sent me a load of stuff from like a world-renowned person in that sort of COVID-y type space, who unfortunately also seems to be just batshit crazy. So like, so she's done a lot of like, Nobel laureate type standard research in that sort of COVID space, but then is also batshit crazy. So she's saying things that are just like some of the things, if you didn't know, you'd be like, I don't know, maybe. And then she says some other things that I do know about, and I'm like, wait a fucking
You're
minute.
way off.
That's batshit.
Okay,
But
so
if you don't
based
have
on those things,
if you don't have the background to sort the wheat from the chaff, you know what I mean? She's
Exactly,
got all
yeah.
the credentials behind her. Like if you look her up, she's got 150 internationally published papers. She's been an international keynote speaker here, there, and everywhere. But at some point,
the veterinarian space, like
microbiology, so
okay,
in that virology space, yeah.
yeah,
You can be an expert and still know nothing, though. Like,
And also, you can be an expert and be batshit crazy.
you can be both.
yeah. There's no reason you can't be really, really intelligent and hold a lot of knowledge, and be brilliant at what you do, and also be completely fucking down the rabbit hole of conspiracies.
On a sort of...
So David could be that. Like he's
for
intelligent.
sure. He's definitely down. But that's the thing is he's obviously extremely intelligent. He can construct a sentence. He can hold an argument. And he's very well-spoken, very educated in his craft, I suppose. But at the same time, like I thought it'd be great to talk to him about his ideas of consciousness and things like that. I did want to speak a little bit about aliens and stuff like that, but he was just like, this injection is going to give you 5G and it's going to crush your body or some, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't that, I'm obviously making fun of that, but it was just went out of control.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun to stay up and like.
Oh yeah,
because he didn't come on the first 2 times.
Gave us the big run around.
Yeah. We were emailing his son for weeks, and then he'd planned. I think we stayed up one night until midnight. We gave him 2 hours just to jump on the Zoom call. He just never showed up. Then he did it again, and Broden's like, "Oh, I'm getting sick of this. I'm not doing this
I was
anymore."
fucking out. We were supposed to be on at 8 o'clock, and then he goes, pushed it to 10. He goes, "Look, can we do it later?" Which ended up being 2 a.m. for us. And I said to Cody, "He's fucking with this man." I said, "Just let's pull the pin." And I was on holiday, and he goes, "Just shut the fuck up." Cody was like, "Just shut up.
I got to speak
and
to
do
this
it.
guy.
We've got to do it." And I'm like, "All right, I'll do it because it'll be funny." And if it doesn't happen, I mean, we filmed like a whole behind the scenes of the time David Icke stood us up. Because if it didn't happen, we were going to do a documentary, like a 2-hour documentary on how the time he fucked us around and how he owed us like 4 hours sleep or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But we ended up, it happened.
Yeah.
But not without its stresses.
Yeah. It's like, I like hearing some of the stuff. He's got really good, what would you call it? The stuff about like life and death, like death and stuff like that. He's got some like good, well, what would you call it? Just
good. I think comforting stuff because
and then the next thing the speech
his
at
mother's
his mum's
funeral was gorgeous.
Yeah, he's just like talking about life, and it's actually like you can kind of connect with him a little bit. And
She's
then the
just
next
been
sentence
unplugged from the Matrix. She's not actually dead. Her physical body may be gone.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. It's like, oh yeah, he's a guy's cool. And then the very next breath, he's going, and the moon's hollow, and there's people living in there. They use it as a command center. It's like, okay, all right, thanks, David. It's been great chatting. We got to go.
Get off the podium. We've still got to do the wake.
Yeah.
He's doing it at the funeral.
Yeah.
But like they about the experts, right? You got microbiologists and all this. Last night again, I was watching all these art documentaries, and there was this one on forged art that was being sold for millions of dollars, and it was like Mark Rothman, Rothler, I don't know, and Jackson Pollock. This guy, this just Asian dude, math professor in New York, in the shithole area in New York, was pumping out these million dollar artworks, and the people were verifying them. People educated for decades in art were saying that they were legit and selling them, and didn't know that they weren't legit, and then was selling them, and then years and years later found out that they were fake and going to jail left, right, and centre. But that's the thing, is you can be an expert in whatever you want and still have the wool pulled over. It doesn't mean
for sure.
Doesn't mean you can't. Excuse me. Doesn't mean you're not human and aren't susceptible to the excitement of fuck. That sounds so cool. It must be aliens. That sounds so cool. It must be a real Jackson Pollock, even though it was spelt with a CK instead of a K. Misspelt Jackson Pollock. $8 million hanging on your wall. Maybe you're too embarrassed to admit that it's fake, so you don't want to say anything, so you don't get wanker spent $8 million on a fucking Montmartre canvas. Poor
There's
bastard.
2 things about that. Have you ever read a book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
No.
So the whole hypothesis of the book, and it starts off, the whole hypothesis of the book is if you have enough experience, you will simply make what are apparently gut decisions, but they're gut decisions based on perhaps 30 years of experience, and you mightn't be able to even explain them, but they'll be right. So the whole book opens up with, they get this art expert in the unveiling of a big whoever painting it was, and they unveiled, and he went, oh, it's fake. Uproar, pandemonium. Took 2 years before he was proved to be correct.
Fuck.
It was fake, but he just took one and went, oh, it's fake, Les.
Shit.
So the premise of the whole book, there's loads of stories like that, but the whole premise of the book is, in the blink of an eye,
you
know,
can tell.
if you know what you're doing,
yeah,
you'll get a vibe about something.
It's I kind of, when I thought about this lady who had this Pollock in her house, and she eventually sued, obviously, for it. You know that thing when you finally meet your idols and they're not exactly the way that you think they are, or you finally go and see the Mona Lisa and you're like, oh, that's quite small. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe it's that experience and that feeling that you get when you finally do see something and it's not quite exactly how you thought it would be, and they just accept that now as, but it still must be right, because I've had this feeling before when I saw Michelangelo's David and it was only like 8 foot tall.
Well, the other side of the argument is that there's a snowballing of agreement, and you will not, mostly, if everyone else is nodding their head, you're not going to shake your head.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So if you come in and everyone's like, it's Jackson Pollock.
Yeah,
like,
you're like,
ooh.
You're not going to be the asshole to get, actually.
Well, if everyone else in the room, if all the other experts thinks it's a Jackson Pollock and you don't, you're not going to say it isn't.
Yeah,
like you simply aren't.
Let them have it.
You're stepping outside
there's like
of the...
loads of psychological studies like that where people are set up to, like, they give them the out where they could stand and go, wait a minute, everyone.
Yeah.
This is nonsense. Almost nobody does it.
Yeah, no one wants to be that
and you think you'll be
snake.
the person that will, but you won't.
I was tonight. Tonight it was me. My whole family, they're booking a Mother's Day thing for Mum. And they said, we want to go to this bistro at the basketball stadium. And I've said, no, I've had enough of going to fucking bistros. I'm sick of going to bistros with stinky bastards and eating food, and everyone goes, the food's good. The food's good at a bistro means it's cheap and there's heaps on your plate. That doesn't mean the food's good. If there's 300 fucking menu items and they're all under $20, the food's probably not good.
Is this what you said, Dawn?
This is what I said. I was like, this is not happening. I said, look, why don't we go somewhere classy next time, like fucking McDonald's?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Instead, I'm
right.
sick of bistros. So I was that guy tonight, and I was proud of myself. I made my sister upset.
Well, when
Just destroy the whole
I
family.
felt like a big man for a couple of minutes.
that's like
was
it's
worth
everything. It's the same as when when you're meeting a whole bunch of new people at a party or a wedding or something, and you go to and you say something in your head you thought that's going to be hilarious. Everyone's going to love me. And they're going to carry me out of the building. When you say it, everyone's just like, oh.
Like that Ricky Gervais gag.
And all of a sudden you
In
went
the
from
wrong
being
room.
neutral, part of the group, to I'm a fucking snake and they all hate me now instantly. And that's your mentality. And that's like, that's why severely depressed people are hard to get along with, because they're not confident anymore. They had their confidence shaken because they told a shitty joke at a fucking wedding.
You know that Gervais one where he's
Yeah.
like, "Fucking make something up," and he's jacking it. That's
to the old people.
If you confuse anybody, look it up. You'll find it and you'll get it. But horrible.
Yeah.
Hey, did you have a gong show today?
No, I didn't.
No gong show.
No, I didn't go.
Yeah. It's,
Tom's thinking about getting into stand-up comedy.
Yep, I think that'd be a great idea. What do you reckon?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find
It
out.
may or may not be a great idea, but we're going to find out.
Yeah. No, I reckon you'll go good. I reckon you'll be surprised at the saturation that is in stand-up comedy these days, and how it's like just everyone's doing it now.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because, like, if you wanted to be a chef, you can't just be a chef. You can't just go and start being a chef. But if you could be the shittest cook in the world, you still can't be a chef.
Unless you go on a TV show.
If you want to be a comedian, you can just go and do it today if you want.
Yeah, but it's like being a chef, though. Like, I mean, I might try being a chef for a week, but it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
In all likelihood.
Yeah.
And
I feel like comedy's the same, isn't it?
yeah, but some people don't understand when they're not good. Like when you burnt the steak, you're like, right, I'm probably a really shit cook. I'll quit.
That's true. Yeah.
But then some people hear phantom laughs.
Yeah.
Well, like, because we were,
And
you sent me to a few places. You sent me to a few people at the comedy club. One of them was I'll not mention any names. One of them superb, like just superb.
Yeah.
It was just kind of hits of the past nearly 2 decades. So it was super.
Yep.
And then there was this other duo, and they were just, one of them in particular was just like so quiet. No laughs.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
No
it's
laughs.
Yeah.
It's awkward. It's like,
Yeah. When you can hear the people like squirming in their seats.
You can hear the seat literally go.
Crap.
it maybe wasn't quite to the squirm, but it was just like nothing was landing. You know what I mean?
Get
Like
some energy.
nothing was landing.
Yeah.
But I suppose a little different to being a chef, though. There's probably less safety precautions to follow in comedy, so they probably don't have a course, like a 6-week course at TAFE for comedy or
I feel like
anything.
they definitely do.
They've
They
got
do.
overpriced comedy.
We tried to start
courses.
one once, didn't we?
Comedy
Like,
course.
yeah, we tried to remember years ago, $3,000 comedy course. We were going to teach you how to do it.
Oh, that's
It
right.
was,
Yeah.
it was like last year.
Yeah.
We need to boot that back up again.
Yeah. I reckon.
It's back on, guys. It's the comedy course. It's back on.
Like I used to be of the belief that you can't really teach it, like because it has such an individual thing, individual thing. But now I think, like, of course you can teach it. There's elements of it you can teach and instruct on if you know it works. It's like anything. It's like martial arts, I suppose.
And I suppose with comedy, just the personality fills the gaps.
Yeah, but it takes years to work out like what your comic identity is, I suppose. Where you are funny. What things do you have to say? How do you have to act? How do you have to come across? Because it's pretty vital. You can't just be a person like, I'll do a one-liner and then I'll do a story and then I'll do like just all over the shop, which is like what a lot of people do when they start. They don't have that style. But, you know, when you go and see someone like Arj Barker or Ross Noble, they're always the same. They've got their thing honed
Solid
in.
set,
And
yeah.
when you met them off stage, they'd be completely different. They're not doing that, but they've got the way that they do it and it works.
One of the
It
other
takes
things
years.
I see a lot of people who start out do is listen to what everybody says, and I feel like that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Not coming from experience, but like it doesn't matter what people think. Oh, you know, you should do more stuff like fuck off. Don't stop telling people how to do that. They've got to find their own funny. They've got to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Do whatever. If you're going to start, do whatever the fuck you want. Doesn't matter what anybody says.
No, well, because you've got to have your own style. So like
Yeah.
your own style is your own style. Like
Yeah. It's got to be good, though. Doesn't it? Like,
Yeah, to a degree. I
Yeah.
mean, you got
I
to.
feel that was one of the troubles with the guy who none of it was landing. Like I feel like if you met him in a bar and everyone had a few pints in him and he had a few pints in him, you know, he had
yeah.
lines that would be funny if you could just snap them out like in
Yeah.
the bar.
Yep.
But obviously it's a show and they're sort of a little bit contrived and it's just like
There's a difference between those types of funnies too.
yeah.
You know, I feel like I could be pub funny, but I don't feel like I could be show funny, like
Yeah.
stand up funny.
They're just two
Oh,
different
it's
things. Like
completely
different
different.
type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because a lot of pub funny relies on like speed of thought.
Yeah.
Quick wit.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Situational stuff, and when everyone's sitting in a chair looking at you, you haven't got the same interaction with, you know, Tommy picks up a drink and fucking his wallet falls out, and you get the chance to go and pretend to be Tommy for a minute. That can be a different kind of funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if your mate who's a cop who's also a fucking wanker drops his badge and you know, steal his badge and never give it back. Like that can be
Sell
funny
it
too
on
when he loses his
eBay.
job.
Yeah.
That's different types of funny to going and trying to give everybody the best that you can within 4 or 5 minutes and make sure that there's a lot of people to please, you know. There's so many people that you've got to try to please and they're all different. That's fucking hard. Whereas you're with your circle of mates, you pretty much know what they want, what they're laughing at. Like you already tell because you've got a similar sense of humor. That's why you're mates.
Yeah. You've got to sort of, so I think it's pretty vital in that first minute to come out and just be someone that everyone's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what this guy has to say for the next 5 minutes or hour, whatever it is. So that's pretty vital. But if you fuck up early, like real bad, it's just like you're on top of the mountain and you just fall and there's no getting back up. It's bad.
But that happens. I told you about this story about I went to see Stephen K. Amos. And
Yeah.
just one wanker in the
yeah.
auditorium just ruined it for everyone. Like, just stole his flow, and then he couldn't get his flow back, and everyone was disgruntled because they all wanted to kill the drunk guy that was
Yeah.
just
It
like, just
ruined it.
wouldn't shut up.
Yeah.
Got thrown out eventually.
Yep.
There's no coming back from that. For the whole room,
Yeah.
so that guy ruined it for like, I'd say the room was probably a 2,000 or 3,000 seater.
Fuck.
Ruined it for the whole room.
It only takes one. Sometimes.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Definitely do it though. You got to give it a crack. It's like it's good fun. It's good fun when it's good, but it's boring at times as well. Terribly boring. Open mics, Melbourne open mics, or anywhere open mics. I just hate them now.
really?
Hatred, yeah. Just for the, like, there's no. You go there and you just do your material in front of 10 other comedians just looking at their phone, trying to remember their material.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is soul crushing. It really is.
Yeah.
But when you've got like a pub that's full of people that paid money for a ticket, like these are people who actually want to hear what your comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, you need the open mics to get better.
I was going to say, don't you have to do the open mics just to see what works and what doesn't work, and just to hone your craft and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. You do. You have to crush your soul for a bit, unfortunately. Yeah.
I always say you've sometimes you got to suck dick before you can get your dick sucked.
You do say that quite often.
I do.
Like inappropriately?
Just at funerals
like
and stuff, and
that's when you
kids'
step
birthdays,
out of that circle.
party tram, just wherever.
Yeah.
I was
the main problem with this phrase is it doesn't make any sense on any level. That's it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't want to
Sometimes.
boast, but I have, but I also haven't. I can work out which way around the phrase is.
I'm going to be thinking about that long and hard.
I've already forgot. It's over.
Do you have anything we wanted to ask?
Well, I did.
Tommy Russell, what
Tommy
we've got in
Russell.
your bread?
So there's been, I know you're a deep thinking gentleman, and what do you think of the Bee Gees first? Because I want to know how deep your love is. How deep is your love? What do you reckon? You into it?
He's going deep.
I literally only know about two of their songs. Staying Alive.
Yeah, great song.
Cool. And I only know that because of the...
Yeah.
So you
It's got the same tempo.
That's how you resus horses. Yeah. So that was an irrelevant question. It had nothing to do with it. I just thought of how deep is your love and had to get it off my chest. Alien videos are coming out. You reckon they're legit or you reckon they're shit? And have you seen any, I suppose?
I don't... Because I'm a man of science, I can't see how they're going to get here. I just can't see how they're going to get here. Put it like this. I think there are aliens. I think that.
Yeah.
They're just too far away.
Yeah. It's a numbers game. There has to be. I mean, if you take that, what's that number that Sagan talks about where it's like there's this many planets and this many this and this many this. So by a pure odds game, there's got to be something somewhere. But I mean...
Yeah,
there's all that other stuff. I love watching them because it excites me, but at the same time, just like, just show me a fucking little grey man, okay? Just show me a little grey man, and I want to see him heal a rabbit. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm with you. And then I want to fly.
I can't remember, but there's a phrase. There's some guy that's like there's some paradox named after some guy, where he's like, well, only basically the very nuts and bolts of it is, where are they? Like they're not coming here and playing cat and mouse games with us. Whenever I was a kid, like there was a lot more. Like if you look back at all those 60s and 70s, we lived in a time whenever it seemed much more possible. I think probably because people were uneducated.
Yeah,
we might have spoken about this before, but like my mum believed in ghosts.
Yeah,
like she came from a society. She was born in the early 40s, like almost not quite, but almost certainly before street electricity.
Yeah. So
like when she walked home at night with her girlfriends, it was pitch dark, and they did walk home at night. You know what I mean? Because nobody had any cars.
Yeah.
So they went to local dance, and then they all walked home in the pitch black and got the bejesus scared out of each other because they all believed in ghosts.
So any noise or anything, because you've got that belief.
You've got that belief,
So
and also
associate.
like to a certain extent, like just that. Like by the time your generation will come along, like it's I think very easy for you to sit down, think about it, work it all through, and go, nah.
Yeah, probably not.
Like you'll not meet anybody that believes in ghosts the way that my mum believed.
Probably.
And my granny, like never mind my mum, my granny was just like my granny believed in
matter
ghosts.
Of fact, they are here.
My granny believed in it. Would be like me saying to you, do you believe in that bottle? Like she would be like, fuck you talking about, do I believe in the bottle? Like,
of course I do.
Yeah, it's not even it's not an esoterical sort of like there are ghosts. End of. Shut up.
But where does that come from? Because it's like was it a common thought, like belief that just everyone had at that time, or was it just a cultural thing?
Well, everybody was religious.
Yeah.
Like that, and again, that's just human society. Like there's no societies that aren't religious.
Well, their main guy's called the Holy Ghost, and he's a ghost.
Yeah, but like any society, like they all have like Muslims have jinns, and all this sort of everybody has all societies have religions, and like you may or may not believe in it, but like I remember somebody saying to me once, like, oh well, you've got Jesus and God and the Holy Ghost, but we've got Thor.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just a mythological, and he's like, well, it's not
No,
any more mythological than your Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Same mythology, except the thing is, Jesus didn't get a sweet comic and turned into a real cool movie.
Yet.
Maybe he could. I think his miracles are a bit shit. I mean, the guy who makes thunder versus the guy who can fucking walk on water. You know what I mean?
They should make a
He rose people
genuine,
from the dead.
like how
So
they
we
did
win.
the Dark Knight and the Spider-Man. They should do one about a real life superhero that was Jesus. One that's like got fucking Mark Wahlberg playing him. And it's action
But
packed.
that's kind of where it's getting to now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe, because like it's when you sit down and think about it, there's just so much of it that either simply doesn't make sense, or if it does make sense, you can just draw a line through it the way you can through all religions. Like Karl Marx says, opiate to the masses. Like it's just a way of controlling people.
Yeah, or dealing with shit. Like I feel like a lot of people will be so desperate at points in their life where they've been atheistic or agnostic or whatever, and then they're like, fuck, I lost my whole family yesterday. I need something.
Yeah, give me a
what network
reason
can I
for
have?
it.
Yeah. Or sort of overdosing or being into drugs and feeling like you have no power, and you go, oh, sweet, I can use the cosmic scapegoat to take all of the heat and go, thanks God, I'll have to serve you for the rest of my life for getting me off drugs.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And
once
also
when
as
you
well,
lose
death's
your,
a big part of it.
yeah, well,
like
when
it's-
you
it's
lose
a way
someone,
of-
it's
yeah,
like, how
it's-
can I? Because I believe that once you're gone, you're gone. But there's people who would have that belief, and then it happens to them. Shit gets taken away. People get taken away, and then they go, I don't want to believe this anymore.
Yeah.
There's an easy thing I can do. I can go to church, become a Christian. There's a heaven. I'll see them all again. And then if you can train your mind to think that way, then you all of a sudden, it's not so bad after all.
And that's
So
still
it's like,
pretty
yeah.
positive, man. I still think that, I mean, it's not my bag, but I think that if you can use that feeling to manifest positivity in your life, it's probably not so bad.
Yeah.
As long as you're not coming to my fucking door on Sunday morning while I'm trying to, have a morning shit.
Yeah, but like as a broad principle, so getting back to what we're talking about, do I believe in aliens? Yeah, I believe in aliens, but I think I've got enough. Like, unless they're way, way, way ahead of us,
Yeah.
they're too far away to come here.
Yeah, that
And
would
if
be
they
the-
are coming here, like that, I forget whose paradox it is, but like basically, if they are coming here, where the fuck are they?
Yeah.
Well, the belief amongst the conspiracy theorists, your Alex Joneses and stuff, is that they're not from distances away. They're from other dimensions, which that's just opening a whole new
So are
box
they
of
not
cheese.
aliens?
It could
Well,
be
they're alien, interdimensional aliens.
just the way
I
that
s-
that someone from another country that comes here is an alien. They're alienated, perhaps.
A little bit like that, but when those people from other countries come here, there they are. Like, I don't, like, I don't care whether you're from Ulster
It's true.
Centauri or
Yeah.
the 13th dimension.
Yeah.
Where the
You
fuck are
fucking
you?
be here or else. Yeah.
Like,
I
I
can
just
see you.
like,
Show yourself.
but then, I mean, obviously, you immediately then have to invoke the Star Trek Prime Directive.
Yeah.
They are here, but
not contact.
due to the Prime Directive,
Exactly.
can't speak this.
Do not contact, because well, that's the thing is, you see us little monkey culture, and you see within the last 40, 50 years, right, go from fucking no lights, your mum, to spaceships, telephones in your pocket. That's quick. That's a big bang. That's explosion of information and technology. But perhaps that would have come sooner if things like the Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed. Perhaps they had bits of technology that were just conquered so that we didn't know about. Like, everyone's worried about who made the pyramids, who did, Pumapunku and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they knew that in that little library, but they just kind of like got killed and burnt down instead.
I feel like making the pyramids.
Yeah.
I've never seen the pyramids in real life, and everyone tells me they're, much more spectacular. But still, they still are a feat of, in the bigger picture of interstellar travel, a reasonably straightforward feat of house building.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. I understand they're brilliant, and that technology's been lost. No, how did they do it?
But it's not a ship made out of metal that can go through walls and light speed. It's a rock on the ground.
It's just a whole logarithmic difference of...
It's What's in them? What's inside the pyramid?
Dead people.
Well, like 2 dead people.
And gold.
And just,
gold.
Well, not anymore. And they used all of the cladding. It was a smooth surface. They used that to build Cairo. They just ripped it down and go, oh, we need some rock.
Yeah.
We'll rip that out and we'll build buildings out of it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a... people think that there's big magic crystals on the top that like powered fucking...
Yeah, because of how they're like geometrically...
Yeah, lined up with the poles or some shit.
Yeah.
But also because of one of them had brass on the top, one of them had silver, one had gold.
Yeah, because there was an
they
energy
were
source.
channeling fucking static electricity down to a Baghdad battery.
You know that
or
whole
some
line,
shit.
though? I can't remember whose line that is, but you know that line that, like, anything sort of beyond your understanding, any level of science beyond your understanding
Magic.
is effectively magic.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's true. Like, if never mind all the things that have been lost or whatever, tomorrow morning, if somebody says to me, we need you to sail to Papua New Guinea, like, I can't do that. If you give me 10 lifetimes to work that out, I can't do that. Like, I will die 5 miles offshore. And yet that's been done.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? But to a certain extent, that technology has been lost to every human being you know.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you know a sailor.
Those guys didn't have YouTube, though.
But you know what I mean? Like you don't have that. We don't have that. You know, there's a lot of stuff that...
The sailing ones, like, it's really... I wouldn't even be keen to give it a go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well, but it's just an example though. And you know, there's like loads of societies that effectively are still Stone Age. Like here in the 21st century. And 200 years ago.
Yep.
You know, like 300 years ago, what did the Native Americans have? What did the Aboriginals have? You know, you're talking about the loss of the library at Alexandria. So that was fine, like whatever, let's say 2,000 to 6,000 years ago, there was a load of knowledge that was there. And then, we set that on fire. Now we're back to square one.
Yeah.
But like, you know, there was Europe. It went through the Dark Ages. There was loads of stuff lost. And as I say, there are still, they're probably quite few and far between now, but like there's still South American tribes that are effectively Stone Age.
Well, that was the other
in
thing.
the 21st century.
We can't really tell you what the Aboriginals had because a lot of their lands being deemed sacred weren't available for people to go on, or even if they knew where they were. Within the last 24 months, one of Gina Ronhart and Clive Palmer's companies scheduled a demolition for some 70,000-year-old Aboriginal caves, full of cave paintings, full of all this gorgeous stuff that no one will ever get to see because they blew it up to mine it.
Yeah, so you're talking about paintings, but I'm talking about, like, for instance...
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Like, why aren't whales ruling the planet?
Because their fins are too big.
Well, a big part of it is they don't have thumbs. Thumbs are hugely important.
Yeah, you've got to have those.
They're
so then why aren't chimpanzees ruling the world?
Well, they are. That's us, isn't it?
Because
we're the next thing.
So the next big step. So opposable thumbs, huge. If you want to make tools, you need opposable thumbs. End of. Like
that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest.
Then the next thing is you need to have vocal cords so you communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So chimps can't be taught to talk. It's not going to happen. They don't have the vocal folds. So where was I going with that? I was going with getting back to the Aboriginals. Well, what did they achieve? Well, we don't know in thousands of years, whatever. But certain things they definitely couldn't achieve because, for instance, just to take a random example, they don't have any horses.
They didn't have. I've heard this before. They don't have large animals, so they couldn't plough fields only but on their own. I've never seen a fucking 10-foot wombat. Yeah,
like they're screwed. They don't have horses, so that none of that shit's happening.
Yeah.
That's
and even so, then their ability, like even just, you know, going back through we've got spaceships and then we got cars, and then before that we had horses. Well, they didn't have horses.
Yeah.
So in a country this big, so they have to walk everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's
really,
so limiting. Do you know what I mean?
The horse was the technology of the time. The thing that helped advance.
Hugely helped advance.
Yeah.
I suppose that's why people.
Because you can't disseminate the information if. So they were all little small tribes that were found it very difficult to disseminate information or trade, or you know what I mean.
You could send some people on a horse to travel distances that people wouldn't be able to just do.
And they run on grass too, you know.
Like it's all about the dissemination and correlation of information. You know, if you want society as a whole to go like that, so you haven't got horses, you're not going to do that as easily.
Is it true? You would know this, Tommy, because you're the horseman. Is it true that just before cars came to, you know, the masses for everybody to have, that people in big cities would get sick because of all of the horse shit on the street? They would like, you know,
for sure. I don't know for sure, but I would be sure of that.
Yeah.
But I feel like just shit generally, not necessarily horse shit.
Just shit, all just people, because there was a lot
but even in the big cities, like there were all sorts of, like a big part of logistics 150 years ago was getting the hay in and out of London. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? You're just like...
Yeah, that would have been...
Like those were the problems of the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you have to do that all day long,
Shoveling.
when do you get time? Like if you're just always working, when do you get time to sit back and contemplate how we will send someone to Mars?
Yeah, or how do you get to sit around and be offended by something somebody said? You know what I mean? You can't.
For
you're
sure.
not allowed to sit around and be offended because you're busy. I don't know, working your fucking ass off 20 hours a day.
Trying
You know what
not
I
to
mean?
die
Exactly.
of the plague.
Doing your best you can.
Yeah, I feel like all that, like that offensive stuff that we started off the conversation with, like an awful lot of that's very much a first world problem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like,
it is,
even though
you can ignore it pretty well at this point in time, you can just use it and laugh about it, and it's not real. It's like it's not as bad as it sounds.
I don't inhabit any part of that world.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you can choose to be in that world, and then you can just start an argument with one of those people who's easily offended, and then you're basically just as bad as that person was because you're complaining now.
And you deserve it. You deserve it.
Like, truly, you should be like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What you say at all.
If you want. Otherwise, you know, you could be really good at being an asshole on the computer and maybe make money out of it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that if you're gonna play that card, then you better fucking get ready to play, because you're starting that. You can't just, you know, think that you're gonna get away with it.
Yeah, I just don't want to play, so just don't
play.
At any level.
Yeah.
I got other shit to do.
Isn't that the truth though? There's so much shit to do, and there's just we only get this little window to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
We only get this tiny little thing, and then we fucking gone. And that's the thing is that you spend most of your life at work, right? The adult life that you're actually sentient and functional and you can understand things. And then you better get as much as you can now, otherwise you're going to have to work longer and you won't get to go on that holiday and you won't get to enjoy your life. But, oh, hang on a minute, I could have enjoyed my life the entire time, except I was somewhere 6 days a week instead of 4 days a week with 3 off or whatever.
Yeah. I think like a person, when people have the privilege to live life, like you can kind of choose what you want to do and stuff. Some people just want to take more risks, and then other people are comfortable not being too risky and just want to get a house and I want things to be okay.
Because
I don't want to be out on a limb.
The risks are easy to take. The risks are easy to take earlier, but when you get to that point where you feel like, hey, this mistake can cost me 2 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
From
and then that can be the ticket to homelessness in some instances. You're like, hey, I think I want to try meth. Okay, before I'm too old. Fuck, I really like it.
What, just as a matter of interest, how old are you when it's too old to try meth?
30. I'm 32, but I still don't want to try meth. I just, as an example.
You don't want to give it a crack?
As an example, I mean, go, give it a crack. Do you want to give me some crack?
Yeah.
But that's the thing is you go, hey, maybe I should have done a bunch of cocaine when I was 18 to 22 instead of 28 to 32, because then fuck, it's really hard to come back because now I've got tattoos under my eyes and nobody wants to give me a job or something, you know. It's those risks, I suppose, the ability to take those risks becomes, the consequences are longer and the window is smaller, I suppose. I mean, I would see it that way, but I mean,
doesn't matter
for us at any point, really, I suppose.
This podcast will go viral and we won't have to worry about money anymore.
That's right.
So
let's count on it.
That'd be nice.
That'd be great. That'd be a good
return
time.
episode. Yeah. But going back to the chimpanzees thing, they 100% ate some mushrooms or something that gave them a psychedelic exposure to God, and then that's how the evolution process started into human, for sure. 100%.
Cody was there.
I was there. I witnessed it. You just know. How could you make that big of a step, a jump, Tommy?
What was the jump, though?
Well,
Finding the shrooms.
being able to communicate, from being sitting around like picking fleas off each other to communicating.
Typical chimpanzee
Yeah.
behaviour.
Laryngeal
Well, we came
musculature.
out of the trees. What's that?
Laryngeal musculature. We just have different muscles than chimpanzees.
But how did they come along? What happened there?
Well, I'm nearly sure
Mushrooms.
we had this conversation the last time.
Did we?
I don't
can't remember.
believe in evolution.
but
It's
the-
Yeah, well, that's why.
But
Yeah,
the-
that's why.
remember the giraffe
But the
conversation we had?
conversation we didn't have is
I'm a segue genius. This is what I wanted.
why are they so strong? They're so strong. Can they not feel pain?
Chimpanzees.
Yeah, can they not feel their muscles tearing, or do they just?
No, it's exactly like jiu-jitsu. It's simply leverage, my friend.
Yeah,
Like
right.
their muscles insert in different ways. Like
Yeah.
let's,
Oh
for
shit!
instance,
Yeah.
so like the fulcrum of that elbow's there,
Yeah,
and the muscles attached there. So there's like an inch of a fulcrum.
yeah, right.
So chimpanzees are way down here somewhere.
Oh, so they got that
Wow.
lever. Oh,
It's just leverage.
Can
It's
you
just
get a
muscular
graft
interest.
to change that on your own human body? Can you get it like that changed? Because that'd be fucking
some
awesome.
people actually have it. I reckon.
Like
Like some guys you
they
roll
have
with, it's
to.
Like, this guy's a fucking.
Yeah, because
Chimp.
everyone's like different muscular insertions.
Didn't
Everyone's
evolve
muscular
the
insertions
same
are different.
and had the chimp arm leverage.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And they're jacked too. Like,
Oh,
you ever
yeah.
seen one of them chimpanzees shaven?
No, I
Shaved
don't.
down? Oh,
I don't
God.
go to those websites.
Go to them
That's no.
because it is genuine. Like
ShaveMyChimp.com.
their nuts are fucking massive and their
Chimp my
chest,
ride.
they're ripped. They look like, like a middleweight.
No,
Just-
not watching it.
Mm.
I'm not interested.
Chimpanzees nuts are massive, are they?
Yeah, some of them are. A special one. Yeah, some of them have real big
I feel like
nuts.
that'll be not true of bonobos. So testicular
Oh, yeah.
size is there's a very, very strong correlation between testicular size and how hard you have to fight to get a mate.
In what regard?
Like it's so
Oh, so it's a direct correlation between small nuts.
so there's two types of chimpanzees.
Yeah.
Common or garden chimpanzee. I'm going to call one of them because I can't remember what they're called. But like there's your common or garden chimpanzee, and they are, like they're aggressive, and there's a lot of internectine bickering between them, and they have to fight for their mates or whatever. And then there's bonobo chimpanzees. Have you seen them?
Mhm.
They're the ones with the weird noses. Is that
They,
right?
look, they look just like chimpanzees, but you'll have seen video of them because the best videos ever. So there's all these videos.
They're like they act and behave the exact same way as human beings.
Is that-
You just look at them from a
is that the
It's
distance.
not the human beings I know, but if you want to introduce me to someone, so I'll tell you what they're
Yeah.
famous. This is what they're famous for.
Sniffing their own arse and falling off the tree. Oh, remember that?
You and I'll be like start a fucking fight.
Yeah.
Immediately, one of the lady chimpanzees will run in and immediately just stick her bum up in the air, and then we both be like, "Oh,
Fuck, let's take turns.
yeah,"
Yeah,
and that's
full
exactly
on.
what happens. And then
Wow.
everybody walks off into the distance,
So-
completely diffuse the
So
situation.
just like nightclubs.
So they've got just exactly the opposite of nightclubs.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's why they do it. That's why they fight.
So-
Because
yeah,
they-
because you're fighting
Yeah.
whatever male dominance, whatever,
Yeah,
and then
it's-
the ladies come in, and in the bonobo society, they're just like, yeah, whatever, and
Full
I know what
seconds,
you
then everyone's
want.
like, oh, off time for bed. So all like situations just immediately diffused, but they've got small testicles in comparison to the commoner garden.
Yeah, right.
Same with
Oh,
gorillas.
okay. So that whole that whole
Gorillas
species.
have really small testicles
so
because you're not fucking with a gorilla.
No, I
they
wouldn't.
don't need big testicles. So the commoner, what's it called? Commoner gardener.
Well, whatever I can't remember. Like there's basically two types of chimpanzee, and they're societally entirely different.
So the
Wow.
ones with the big
Sack,
balls
yeah.
are the
Yeah.
ones that rip your
That yeah.
like they rip your arms off and
Fucking your
fuck
bum.
your ass,
Yeah.
rip
yeah,
your
the
feet off. And
the bonobos are chill as fuck because
Yeah.
there's no sexual.
I think I did know that the bonobos are the ones that
Bono-
you want to have in your
Bonobos are
house.
the pump and dump.
The
You don't want to have them at your house.
well, you know those like actor chimps that they were always in the movies that,
Yeah.
that they live in someone's house
It's
wearing
eating
an
her
overall.
face.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
video?
someone had a
Fuck.
chimp and it went feral and ate her face off, and she was on
Yeah.
the phone to the.
It was the friend who was
Friend,
in
yeah.
locked in the room.
Just don't have a fucking wild animal in your house
Yeah.
next time.
It's like that guy that get eaten by grizzlies.
Yeah, what the fuck?
What was he fucking around with grizzlies at his
It was
house? or
just
something?
He went out and lived in the wild with them for.
yeah.
I think it's
Trying to-
the
he's trying to
is it
make
called
friends with them.
Grizzly Man or
Yeah,
something. It's
yeah.
called something like that. There,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
film by is that German actor talks like
yes.
this.
Fuck. He played Schnimply Pribbles in Rick and Morty. What's his name? It's like something. He's like always war torn.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know who he is. Why can't I think of his name? I'm going to find it right now. I know the guy's name. You
Christoph
guys-
Waltz.
he was in
No,
Star Wars.
no,
wasn't
older
he?
guy. Yeah, he was in the new Mandalorian. Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah,
talks
mate.
like this.
Yeah,
It's very frightening.
I know the dude.
I'm going to find it.
You'll find
Werner
it.
Herzog.
Werner Herzog.
So
Fuck
he
yeah.
directed
He got it.
a documentary
Herzog.
about this guy that was basically went and lived with the Grizzlies for 2 years until they ate him.
Yeah, and he filmed
100%.
them
How was it
eating
gonna
him.
end any other way?
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, cool, you can hug them, they trust you now. But what happens, all it takes is have a shitty day.
Do you know that?
Just
They don't
one
even need to have a
shitty
shitty day. Sometimes they're hungry. Do you know
Yeah.
the answer to this
They're just
question?
a bit hungrier than
Would you rather be eaten by a lion or a grizzly bear?
a lion.
The answer is no.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Is that the answer?
The answer is no.
Do you know why?
Why?
So a lion predators you down, kills you,
Cuts
eats
your
you.
head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grizzly bear doesn't give
Eats
a
you
fuck.
first. Yeah.
Just starts eating bits off you.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It'll
Like,
just
a
start take
lion will kill you, so at least you're dead when it starts eating your arms off. The grizzly bear will
yeah.
simply start eating your arms off. Like
Yeah,
the way that
okay.
you
Fuck.
eat a jelly baby. That's what the grizzly bear will do with you. Turn you upside down. Start with your legs.
Yeah.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
Tiny Teddy,
An
take
ear
the
at a
ears
time.
off first.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a weed gummy bear, a really strong weed gummy bear. Just
Yeah.
take an ear and put the rest in the fucking cupboard
Yeah,
for next
later.
week.
So every day of the week.
Have you
get
have
eaten
you
by a
heard,
lion.
Tommy, the video,
yeah,
the
yeah.
audio from the video of the grizzly man being murdered?
Yep.
Murdered. Is it murder if an animal does it? No, they can't be tried.
It's murdering someone.
But he's
Killing them.
Answer me this question. Talking of, is it murder? How famous do you have to be assassinated? Will I be assassinated or just murdered?
Ooh, that's good, man. That's
Where's
good.
the kickover point? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Assassination. I mean, I suppose it
You
can
can get
be
your wife assassinated,
what?
can't
Hang
you?
on, what? Can't like? Are you asking? Is this an
I
application?
just mean like
you can get your wife done off. Like I heard about a guy up in bloody
get an
north.
assassin to kill your missus.
But like,
or
so for
whatever.
instance, like JFK was assassinated. Like, no, you never hear anybody going, "Oh, JFK was murdered."
Yeah,
he
no.
was assassinated.
yeah.
But
100% it was
I suppose it's a style of killing as well, because if someone busts into your house and gives you two in the chest and one in the head, that's an assassination, right? You know, if they have a weapon, but if they have a gun,
So that's how you can get your wife assassinated.
two in the chest, one in the
Contract
head.
killing.
Contract killing. Hang on, why are we killing wives here? What's going on? Where
I'm
did
just
this
saying,
go?
like, I don't know if it's a fame thing. I think it's like
Just you can hire
It's
a
a
guy.
method.
So
it's a method.
yeah. So I suppose
You gotta
an
meet a guy.
assassination would be if somebody wanted you dead but didn't do it themselves. I suppose you would be assassinated by somebody else because it's a higher killing. I don't know. Maybe do you reckon that anything in that?
All I know is you got to go down the golf course, play a round of golf with this guy off the dark web, and say, "Look, mate,
And then he
This
turns
is
out
the
to be an
address.
undercover
Yeah.
cop.
And then you
Yeah.
let him take your golf cart away with 40 grand in it
yeah, exactly, yeah, you got the money in the golf bag,
off the dark
Yeah,
web.
all the notes are flying out as he's driving off.
You guys will be like a generation down. You'll be like a fucking, I don't know, Michael Jackson or somebody. But whenever I was a kid, like everybody remembered where they were when JFK got shot. Like it was kind of a phrase.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when
Where were you?
JFK got shot?
Do you?
Well, I was 7 years still away from being born at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
but
was
it was
still
a phrase. You know what I mean? Where were you when
Where
JFK got shot?
JFK? Same with the moon
Best piece of
landing.
video you'll ever see. They asked this guy, he's like, "Sir, where were you when JFK was shot? Do you remember?" And I guess, man, I remembered so well. I was watching the news.
Right,
Do you know what else happened that day?
that's the worst.
That's a very special day in sci-fi history because it was the first ever episode of Doctor Who aired on the same day.
On that same
Yeah,
day?
On the same day, yeah.
What?
And got horrible ratings because JFK got assassinated the same day.
Yeah.
So they're like, and now a break
Yeah.
from the assassination with the new show, Doctor Who, about a funny old man and his strangely way too young, kind of not related daughter-ish, and they
Granddaughter
travel
or
through
something, yeah.
space.
The 9/11's the same thing. It's like, where were you when 9/11 happened?
My grandmother's 60th.
Where?
Yes, Nana was 60.
In the
and-
morning.
Yeah, well, we got home quite late because we'd have a hungy. We'd dig a big hole and cook some food under the hot coals, dig it up, and then fucking party all night. And I was a little kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was about 12 or 13. I think it would have been year
20 years
7
this
or 8.
year?
Yeah, 20 years. And so it was Nana's 60th, and then we came home and we went to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever when we got home. We were asleep at Nana's, and then they dropped us home. And we got woken up by, "You got to watch this. Look at this. Look at this." Dad wakes us up and we see the video of the first plane crashing over and over and over again. And then they're like, "Oh, it looks like someone's coming to surveil it." And then the next one went through and we thought, well, what the fuck?
I remember being deeply, deeply upset
Yeah.
by it because I couldn't watch any cartoons at all.
Fuck.
like I remember I was
Dragon
every
Ball
channel
Z
was
is not
just
on.
taken over,
Yeah,
and I didn't understand. Wasn't old enough to understand the gravity of it all.
that's
But
it.
it
And
was pretty
obviously
fucked up.
didn't have a video player with some pre-taped episodes.
Dad wanted to watch it, otherwise I could have put a video on.
Dad, I've seen this one before. Fuck.
Yeah, Dad's just sitting there with his
Yeah,
oh my god,
sweating.
yeah, like the
It's
whole
going
world was.
There's another war going on.
Initially, it would have felt like if you were in New York, it would have been like, "Fuck, this is it. This is the big one. This is the big." What's happening?
I bet it
Because
was.
there's no like, you don't understand what's actually happening when a fucking plane goes into a building like that. Would have been terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it
Genuinely
was so
fucking
powerful that
terrifying.
they had to pull a whole scene out of Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? They had to pull a scene from Spider-Man 2 because it had Twin Towers in it, and they're like, too sensitive, too soon, too sensitive.
Fair.
The is it Dream Theater or something like that put out an album that year that had the Twin Towers on it in like tatters, like a post-apocalyptic thing, straight off the shelves. See you later. No more of that. I don't know if it was Dream Theater. It could have been like Iced Earth or some shit like that.
Yep.
The Iced Earth guitar player was in. This is a power metal band from America. Was in those riots. Was in Capitol Hill. Was one of the guys busting through.
Oh yeah, I remember
So
reading about him. But
He's been in the lockup for a little while. I think they just let him out. What a sick celebrity fucking riot!
Yeah.
That'd be good too. Imagine, and that's the thing is, how famous do you have to be for like to have like public interest in your riot record? You know what I mean? Like if Johnny Depp had been there, there'd been an uproar, but it was just the guitar player from Iced Earth. No one gives a shit. No one cared.
I was in Saudi Arabia when it happened. I told you that, haven't I?
We did talk
yeah,
about
you
it,
did.
but hey, it was on an episode that was
A long time ago.
a long time ago. And we got new fans.
Yeah.
We got them all over the world, Tommy. We got them in Sri Lanka. We got them in England and in Australia as well.
That's
so,
right. And Tasmania, we've got 2 or 3.
So you could be telling that Saudi Arabia stuff to potentially like 3 new people.
Right.
That could be.
That's right.
Well, I've kind of
3 whole new people's left ear because
I was in
listen to
Saudi
what they
Arabia, and so I was
Vetting.
Arrived down after track work, switched on the TV, tower flying in. I just thought it was a movie. Went and had a shower, came back out, it's flying into Letters Games. It's like, fuck's going on here? And then it cuts to the.
Oh, you thought it was a movie initially?
I just flicked on the TV. Plane crashes into the building. Genuinely, it's like whatever, some film. Had a shower, came back out, just crashing into it again because, as you know, it was on rerun all week long.
Were you a bachelor at this time? Like, just because I want to get a full visual of what you're sort of looking like at the time. Like,
I bet you do. So, what was
long
your ball
red
sack?
hair.
Yeah, what condition was your ball sack in?
like
It was very, very, very full because obviously in Saudi Arabia, you can't speak to women.
It was
You can't even look at them like they're all wearing a letterbox.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
full.
And there certainly were no porn channels in Saudi Arabia in 2001.
What was the internet connection like?
Dire.
Oh.
Absolutely dire. Yeah.
But I just want to know. I want to get a visual of like, what are you? You're over there. Well, as you've just outlined, you can't really have the time that you wanted to have. But yeah, you're sort of like. I imagine you're going over there getting good money.
Yeah, prostituted myself. 100%. That's why I was there.
Yeah.
Being like a bit of a rock star, though, I'd imagine like you're Irish guy over
sort
there.
of come and go. So because it's their holy land, and it's Wahhabi Islami, which is like very, very, very staunch Islamic. So it's written in the Quran somewhere that it's the holy land, and the infidels, such as myself, just simply shouldn't be there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So there's a bit of a tension there in that the Saudi proletariat all hated me with a passion, but because I'm a white man in Saudi Arabia, it's a given that I'm there at the behest of the king or one of his close relatives. So you have this invisible bubble of leave me the fuck alone. Like,
And you worked for the king's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're working for the king of Saudi Arabia's brother.
Yeah.
What's his name?
What was his name? Like, because the alphabet.
Yeah, long names.
His name. Leave it with me.
Did you get to hang out with him? Like, did you get to meet him and shit? Or what was he like? Was he okay?
His son was all right.
Yeah.
He was an old man, like in his 70s, and he was kind of like hard work. He was morbidly obese.
Yeah, right.
So I might have told you this. I'll tell it again anyway for the 3 people that haven't heard it.
Yeah.
So
I haven't heard this bit.
it's all desert. The whole fucking thing's desert. Like as soon as you get out of this city, it's just all desert everywhere. So they build a new racetrack, and we're sitting out there. They wanted to show us the new vet clinic. So we went out there. It's fucking 43 degrees, and we arrived there, and they line us all up for the king's brother to come, except he doesn't for 2.5 hours.
So you lined up for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, in the blazing fucking sun, 43 degrees, dying a death.
As a Northern Irish.
Dying a death.
Yeah.
So he eventually arrives in his, whatever the fuck he arrived in, because he never drove the same car twice.
Bugatti Veyron.
They never drive the same car twice because it's all the oil belongs to the king.
Yeah.
And then everything, all the money just trickles down. It's a feudal system. So what happens is
Fucking hell.
the king gets in a car, he gets out of the car, that car is immediately bequeathed to one of his sons who drives it for the rest of the day. And then his son gives it to one of their cousins. And then eventually 17 things later, like every 20 years, you get a car if you suck up to the guy above you.
Is that why in Saudi Arabia you will see a lot of the time a luxury sports car on the side of the road abandoned? Have you come across that? My parents were there and they were just seeing these like Ferraris on the side of the road covered in dust and sand and just with the wheels.
Yeah, if they run out of petrol, the guys just like
just fucking
send me
leave
another
them.
car and hurry.
Yeah, right. Because that would make sense now. I've never heard that's how that works.
So if you play that systematic, the guy above you, you're friends with him, you'll get a car eventually. Yeah. That's,
and I mean,
all the money belongs to the king, so it just trickles down.
And I suppose who's got the cash to fix a Bugatti on the side of the road? So they just fuck this. Bail, I'm going to get an SUV off the next guy.
Yeah, they have no fuck given. Like, they make billions every year. No fuck given at any level.
And you're prostituting yourself, standing there in the sun. Is this day one when you lined up there?
No, it was well into a couple of months into probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then, so he arrives in whatever the fuck he arrived in. And then he's sitting in the car, and we're all like, what the fuck is he doing? So he's like, as far away from me as maybe our car is, like maybe 15 meters away from me.
He's just sitting.
Fuck is he doing? We're sitting here baking, and I'm not just baking, like I'm frying,
crackling.
I'm about to be
audibly
hospitalised.
crackling in the sun.
Well,
We waited another half an hour because some guy who I assume died a few minutes after that had forgot to organise the golf cart. So the golf cart arrived. He climbed out of the car, climbed into the golf cart, went 15 metres to the front door of the clinic.
He's obese as well.
He's morbidly obese, yeah.
Morbidly
So
obese, yeah.
15 metres, got to the front door of the clinic, steps up into the clinic. He looks at the clinic and goes, gets back in the car, drives off. So then our guy goes, not to worry, veterinary comrades, doctor, come in, doctor, we'll show you around everywhere. So we go up the fucking steps into it. He's like, this will be the radiology room, and this is where because the grooms are all Pakistani grooms, this is where the grooms will sleep. And if you come in here and open up into this beautiful, just like still a shell at this point, but he's like, this is where we will examine the horses. We will put a crush for you, maybe put a box over there. Here's a little hole in the wall. We put the x-rays through. It's pretty nice, doctor. You maybe think, yes? And one of the guys that's with me looks around, he goes, how do the horses get into this room?
oh,
So the only way into the entire building is up the stairs.
fucking hell.
Pandemonium ensued. Best day ever.
So how
would've been
did
great.
they get the horses into the room?
Well, eventually they had to knock down the whole outside wall of one of the buildings and put in a ramp. But like,
They were using the stairs.
again,
for a bit.
another man will have died for that. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like the guy.
So
who
the
built-
golf buggy guy,
Jesus.
death 1. And then the guy who fucked up with the stairs, death 2. So how many more people did you never see after that day?
Well, I mean, they're big on the death, as you may know.
Yeah.
Like,
Used to go to beheadings, or tried to
well,
anyway.
we went to go to beheading to it, and we were all like, "Fuck, we'll go out and see what's going on here," because I'm sort of pro it. Some of the guys was with ranted, and we thought, right, we'll just go and see. Maybe someone's mind will be irrevocably changed. And then 3 days later, that plane flew into the building, so we never got to go.
So all beheadings
And
cancelled.
then it got a little bit sketchy. So
Probably one of the last places you'd want to be as a...
it just, as I say, you've
At
got
that
this
time.
bubble of security around you where they all hate you, but they know you're there at the behest of some member of the royal family. So be fucked if they're going to give you any static.
They're not even going to get involved.
But after that, because as a, you know,
Yep.
they actually were dancing in the streets and
Yeah.
that morning. Like I remember looking out the window and they were literally high-fiving each other in the streets, like a blow till,
Fuck. Yeah.
Jeez.
you know, there's a lot behind it, but
And all bets are off at that point, I suppose, and then it's all
it just got a wee bit more tricky. Like they were just a wee bit more in your face, and like they hate you.
yeah,
They
they're like,
hated
fuck you directly, Tommy Russell. I'm sick of your shit. I don't give a fuck why you're here.
You know, there were a couple of road rage incidents and stuff. And it's just like, and then I was staying at this 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
And then the 5-star hotel got bloody security bollards all around it, so that nobody could just drive up in there and blow the hotel up. So then you'd arrive at the security bollards every morning. And the boys would be putting the mirrors underneath to look for the bombs and the sniffer dogs.
Fuck.
And then this guy who definitely wasn't CIA, he assured us of that. We all had to get into a little room with him, and he was like, "Okay, you guys, you gotta park your car where you can see it at all times, and you want to take a different route in and out of the building every single time you come."
How many ways are there out of the building? Like, how many fucking possible different routes out of the building can you take?
Like 100%. If they wanted to assassinate me, is what I feel they would do with me. If they wanted to assassinate me,
as a famous horse surgeon for the king's brother.
Yeah.
So I was on not the next plane out of Dodge, but my next scheduled leave. I
Just didn't come back.
The thing is,
Did you piss off the king or anyone over there?
Hugely. So he didn't pay me my last month's wages.
Ooh, motherfucker.
Even though he's a multi-billionaire.
So the king of Saudi Arabia owes you money.
King's brother, but
King's brother, but yeah. Well, that's the king's money, isn't it? Because all the money comes from the king.
I imagine it's a massive piece of pie too, that month's wage.
Yeah, I reckon
it would be now with interest, obviously.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, what about...
I reckon you can get it. Pursue it.
I reckon if we... Could we
Take it to
open
the
this
High
up?
Court.
Could we, if anybody watching is a high class, a high lawyer who works for free, Tommy Russell wants his money back and we'll take a slice of that.
It wouldn't matter. Like...
It matters to me, Tommy. It matters.
Saudi
I want you to get what you
Sharia
deserve.
law, what are you going to do? Like, you're not allowed in the country except that they're...
Yeah. I just want you to get what's yours, and I feel like that, I mean, we'll take a little bit if it eases the conscience.
The only good thing that came out of it was a South African vet that worked there gave me one of the best phrases of all time. He said, "My friend, those are just school fees you've paid to learn an important lesson."
Oh, that's not bad. I like that. And you did the accent perfectly too.
South Africans have...
My friend.
Yeah, they have a great way with words, I reckon. South Africans.
South Africa.
It was just like 100%.
That's great.
It was just school fees. Like, learn your lesson, big fella. Move on.
Yeah.
Was he an older dude that had been in the game a long time, or was he just a...
No, not even. He was probably at that stage I would say he was probably in his early 40s. But
how many people did they ring in to come over and be a vets or work on the horses? Because obviously they're big on horse racing, isn't it? That's why you were there, because the horse racing thing, like the king has all these horse.
Well, every stable had their own vet, so that's why it's the sport of kings. Like, they get up in the morning, anything that they can dream of wanting to have, they can have.
Yeah,
but you can't buy success with racing horses. That's why it's the sport of kings. So it's the one thing that drives them to get up in the morning. Like, they'd all be at the track, like clocking horses.
Yeah.
And, they just wanted to beat their cousin, that guy.
I've heard a story, story about these guys and poultry. Like, did you guys ever have to put an egg together for the king? Like, all the king's horses and all the king's men?
I have not.
Did they ever have to try to restore an egg? You ever heard of that?
Fabergé egg?
Perhaps. Well, maybe it would be really expensive.
Yeah,
egg.
that would make
called Humpty Dumpty. Never had to.
Unaware of his work, but
yeah, I think it'd be an interesting day at the office.
Where of his work.
It's like, I mean, all these highly skilled craftsmen in their field.
It never once says he's an egg.
It doesn't, does it?
No.
Well, who is Humpty?
That's just a presumption people have made.
It's just because he's always drawn as an egg. Maybe it's because Humpty Dumpty was actually the king's big fat fucking asshole brother. And he's the one who fell over. And all the vets, all the surgeons, all the vets, all of the men and the horses came together to try to rebuild this fat piece of shit.
All those nursery rhymes have like some pretty sinister meanings behind them. Like Jack and Jill
went up the hill.
They were fucking.
Yeah.
You know,
it was probably non-consensual if it's one of the Brothers Grimm's stories, because those were all pretty fucked up.
And Ring Around the Roses is about the Black Death.
The Black Death.
Yeah.
And he was
Jack and Jill, like she was cheating on her husband, and then he got his fucking head smashed
and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after because he fucking killed them both. Yeah. It's like an Eminem song.
Absolutely, yeah, but better. Yeah. So you were saying that you went and saw the beheading. I know you were going to go and see.
Didn't because of 9/11.
But you believe you're a believer in the capital punishment in the maybe not slicing heads off, but
Yeah, no, that's
death
what
penalty.
capital punishment is. Yeah, I'm an advocate. And just like right from all the way down to the way you can't smack kids now. Very, 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 very strongly against that. I think it'll lead to the downfall of society.
Sometimes I hit kids
yeah,
on the
I'm
street
on that. Yeah,
just because I think that you should be able to. Not for any lesson. I just want to feel like a big man.
I hate nothing more than when kids are out of control at like a restaurant or something,
And nothing gets done.
and people don't care. There's like, hey, he's just silly today. He's
No.
It's like, stop it now,
Yeah.
otherwise I'm going to go mental.
It's like you were saying earlier on about your not ace addiction and when do you do it, and you take paths and whatnot. I think I speak for almost every teenage boy on the planet. When you're in your late teens, you grow a bit of muscle, you're raging full of testosterone, you're just a rage monster. Like, if I hadn't the constant threat of violence from my dad, and I wasn't a bad human being, but I would have went off the rails. Completely off the rails.
You got to be on your toes, I suppose, to some degree, because otherwise you just get away with stuff. Like I know young people now that have the fucking worst work ethic. You know what I mean? Wherever they go, they just don't have any respect. They don't want to listen. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to do any work that's not exciting or whatever.
Do you know, as you say that though, all I can think of is that's what my granddad's generation thought about me. I feel like it's a
maybe it gets worse every year. Maybe it gets worse every generation though. Like,
but there's plenty of good kids around as well.
Of course there are. There have to be, because that's just what life is. There's always good people among the shit munchers, but unfortunately sometimes you get stuck with shit.
Like, I don't believe in the death penalty just based purely on the fact that it's like, who gets to decide? Like, who do you give that power to go, right, kill that guy?
I'll tell you what.
And then that's where it gets a bit ugly.
There would be people lining up for that job.
Yeah,
there would, but like, where's the line?
Well, that's
where are these
why
lines?
they
and coming up with knowing where a line is.
Assemble a jury of their peers to judge that. Have you heard of the Night Stalker? I've been watching lots of these documentaries lately while I've been having a rest. It's been great. The Night Stalker in the 80s in California, Los Angeles. He killed, he only got convicted of 15 murders, and he'd done way more in San Francisco and all these other places. That motherfucker needed to die. You know what I mean? That guy needed to get stopped and killed straight away.
Society doesn't need him there. Don't need to be.
They don't need to be.
Especially nowadays, where those serial pests that they're in jail for murdering 20 people, and they do nothing but clog up the justice system with vexatious complaints about this, that, and the other.
And they get a new kettle every 3 days so they can light their cigarettes off it or illegal
I know all about that.
I know that's where I'm getting my intel from. Yeah. But like this guy, he raped and murdered children for fuck's sake, and that's just like done. See you later. You're done.
Yeah,
that's it.
Because I have people in conversation will say, "Oh, I could never kill anyone." I'm like,
it would be easy. Like, of course you could.
You walk in here and your wife and kids are bent across that table there with some fucking lunatic jamming up them.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to kill that guy stone dead right there and then.
And unfortunately,
in a Hannibal Lecter style way.
In front of. I had a vivid dream the other night. I had a vivid. You've heard my alien story. I have vivid dreams, very, very vivid, where you can feel everything. I had a dream that I was jumped by two guys, and I was going around the town with a long screwdriver, just tightening up all the screws in the town. For some reason, I was just going, there's screws on the street corner.
And there's nothing wrong with this, but gay as fuck. But anyway.
So I was tightening up all these. Like, I'd just been fixing a synth, and I had like 6 screwdrivers out, and I had a lot of trouble with this one particular screw. It was stripping, and then I found the perfect screwdriver that just had enough sharpness on it for me to be able to get it in. So that was my new feeling for the night. And then I went to sleep, and all I could dream about was screwing this thing in, the satisfaction of just cinching it up. And so I'm around the town, and I'm cinching up all these screws.
Around the town.
And just around the town. Exactly. And I was actually at KFC. And I was at the front of KFC, and I've got a long
plenty
screwdriver.
Of screws there.
And I'm doing the screwdriver up.
This is the most Freudian story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I'd been jumped previously by these guys. These two guys come up.
In your dream or in real life?
Yeah, in the dream, but it felt like weeks before, even though it was in the same dream, and it had to have been. Maybe I woke up, had a piss, and came back, and I dreamed about it again. And they start to jump me, and I ended up sticking one through the throat with a long screwdriver, and I felt it go in the first part of skin, pop, slide, pop again out the other side, and then I just nailed him to the floor and kicked the other guy in the chest and stabbed him to death in the chest and neck with a screwdriver. And I felt it. And it felt satisfying.
Okay.
Thanks, guys! But you know, like,
and everyone can kill. Everyone,
of course you can.
And everyone could have been Jordan Peterson has a good one. It's like he tells people that, like, if you were in Nazi Germany and these influences there, you would be able to tell
It's
the
them
next
or you.
load of Jewish people that got off the train to carry that salt across the other side of the yard and back for no reason at all.
Exactly.
And you'd be able to do that. And that's the scary thing, that people don't ever, like, there's a lot of people that go, that would never be me. I would never do that.
I've
Like,
given this
we
some
all
thought
would.
because I've been to Belsen.
Oh, yeah.
And 100%, you're just, as my dad puts it, firing them up the chimney. 100% you're doing that.
Just doing what you're
Because
told.
there's no, you know, like, no, taking a stand and I'm not standing for that. Okay.
Okay.
Come with me.
Bam!
Yeah.
Pop you in the head. Done. But that's the thing is, like, I'm sure
So
that
everyone has that.
And
in
again,
them.
it harks back to what we were talking earlier on. Like, you just fucking do what the masses do.
Yeah.
And that's a
you'll
scary
justify it in
thing.
your own head.
Yeah.
Like, you'll completely justify it because how could you sleep at night if you didn't?
Yep.
You'll justify it to yourself, and then everyone else is also justifying it, and therefore it's definitely right because we all think it's right, do we?
We all
Yep,
do it,
Okay,
yep.
we're fine. then.
Exactly.
We're the good guys.
But that's that situation too, is that you'll stick up for yourself if it's like two guys with you've got a screwdriver and two guys jump you, you'll do your best you can. Might not work out for you. But I mean, if you've got this entire society that's forcing you to do this stuff, it's not like you're going to go, look, tell you what,
It's against
moving
my
to
morals.
France. Yeah, it's against my morals. I'm not really, look, Adolf, we've had some good times, you know, but this is not my thing. And he's like, okay, look, I understand.
We've all seen it with the masks. It's exactly the same thing.
Exactly. And then people want to take you down in what, the reject shop or something?
Yeah, I had to run in. I wasn't wearing a mask. This is like recently, like just before when you didn't have to wear a mask unless you're at Bunnings or a supermarket. And I'd already not been really wearing them all that often because it's like just for the big shops now. So remember when there was a point when everyone was like wearing them outside, like they'd go out their house and just like, fucking quick, put it on.
They'd mow their own lawn with it on.
Yeah, I saw people fucking mowing their lawns with it on
People
at
in
their
the
own
car
home.
by themselves.
Yeah,
wearing a mask.
Like, oh my god! And then this lady at the reject shop, she really pissed me off because she all of a sudden these people just became cops. All of a sudden they had the attitude of like, stop right there and stuff like that.
Well, she
And
managed to get 3 badges for $2 at the reject shop. So
it's like, just stay in your lane.
yeah,
Stay in your lane, Karen. Let me get my things and get out of here without pretending that you're a security.
I just
But
want
those can't. That was Nazi Germany. Like,
exactly.
society's full of people like that. They're
And
not
that's
even
what-
the
that's why-
exception.
That's
They're
why
not
it's so
even an
scary
exception.
though, because you get a glimpse of like, if this masks are nothing, it's like that's easy. We can all do that. Not asking too much, but history shows us that there is things that could really go bad in society, and if it's that easy for people to just go turn on you and start like dobbing you in. Your neighbour's got an extra person. There's an extra car in his driveway. I'm calling him into the cops. and stuff like that. It's like things are going to get ugly quick.
But that's you know it's trouble when you're just trying to go to get some D-sized batteries from because that's what else would you go to reject shop for, right? Just some massive batteries. That's why.
And there simply hasn't been COVID
and the girl's
in
like
Victoria
fucking
for 30 days.
Exactly, and the girl's giving you like these snarky looks like she's better than you.
Yeah,
Maybe
But in
she
front,
is.
Yeah, I mean, good chance she is though.
Pretty
oh
high
yeah,
chance.
I'm not. Yeah,
Well,
I would
it is
accept
called the reject shop after all. So
yeah, yeah, like I don't know. It's just like you wouldn't do that under any other circumstance. You wouldn't get on your high horse and speak down to people like that. So why now that there's a global pandemic and you work in a shop, are you doing it to people? You don't know what could happen. Yeah. Someone might just go mental. You might tip someone over the edge.
box cutters are
Screwdriver.
really easy to get. You know.
Yeah.
People have them. People have them. I accidentally left the shop with a box cutter the other day. Went to pull my wallet out. Accidentally pulled out a box cutter.
Yeah,
Poor
right.
girl got the fright of her life.
Yep.
Especially when I asked her to put all the hundreds in the bag.
Yeah.
But you know,
We do that commonly with syringes and needles.
Yeah.
Commonly.
You just have syringes in your pocket.
Just in my
Yeah,
pocket,
just a pocket full of needles.
Changes the whole timbre of the
It
interaction.
does, doesn't it? Yeah.
When you're getting
Trying to
some
pull
change
you,
out to the bus.
$3 to put in for a Coke, and you put a syringe in the machine.
Yeah, that raises a few eyebrows. Absolutely.
My goodness.
Yeah. It's It's weird. It's weird. It's been a weird time with the COVID.
I wish it had been more refreshing, because a lot of people would come into my work and be like, "Oh, I've just had 16 weeks off. They paid me for it, and also the landlord thought I might be hard up for money, so they cut my rent in half. So I saved all this cash." And I'm looking at him going, "I've been here every single fucking waking moment, and then on Sundays I answer your emails." Yep. You know, I'm freaking out. Nothing's happened for me. I had to work the entire thing. Nothing. Yeah, a little bit changed. We got to shut the door at work, which was really nice. We got to shut the door, and I got to be productive, get stuff done, and didn't have to have 17 people coming and going, "Have you got any screws for this kind of guitar? Like, I'm looking for a screw." Oh, by the way, I saw AC/DC 1978 at the Eagle Hawk Town Hall. I don't fucking care. Like, I really don't care. Can I help you? I'd love to help you, but I don't care. We didn't have to have that, so I was just like fucking... You know, had Jungle Boogie playing way too loud in the shop for like all day, just going dun 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 dun, and then enjoying myself. Except then, when things started to get reasonably normal, it was just like all bets were off again. It was like school's back, you know, school's back in, and everyone's just fucking flying through the door. Yep, and it's just it's all the dumb shit. It's like, why didn't you?
People went feral when you could go back shopping again.
Yeah, but like they knew that we were open. It's like, why didn't you call me up for that when I had time to fix it for you, to do it for you? You know, like we had advertising that we were ready to help you. You know, music shop is open, music shop is open, music shop is open. You didn't want to touch a thing because you thought you were saving the fucking world in a town with no cases. And now all bets are off, and it's fucking... I feel like sometimes I should be NDIS funded for some of the people I have to help. Don't worry, they're not watching.
I reckon they are.
I went to look at a house last week.
Okay, yeah.
Went to look at a house last week. Went down to one of the spare bedrooms. I shit you not, there was, fuck knows, 500 things of toilet roll.
No shit. Yeah. They're still doing that.
Well,
no, it would have been they got too much.
Bought them on week one, and here we are.
Still
later.
got it. Yeah,
it's like shit.
It literally would have filled a third of this room.
Is that a saving though? Cool. Like my mum does this thing where she goes, check these things out that I got. They're great. And I'm like, oh, cool. She goes, do you want one? And I'm like, oh, no, if I'm out there, I'll get one. She goes, I bought 6 of them. They were on special. And I'm like, you didn't save any money. Yeah. Why would you buy that toilet roll that much? Like, you can just... There was a shortage, but it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
There was a horrific shortage because of people like that woman.
But like...
Because you ran out when it was all happening. I think you ran out.
But he uses one roll every 3 months.
Exactly.
This guy's diet.
Yeah.
One to clean, one to polish.
Yeah, brilliant. What's your thoughts on the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution?
Look, I think it's an interesting one, but I love that when you mention it with Christians, they say, well, even he in his later years refuted that and said that God did it. So
I did not know that.
Well, I don't think he did, but I think that people who want to argue the point will pull that one out of the bag, and then you go looking for the literature on it, and it's probably not up. But he said it. He definitely said it probably on his deathbed.
That's brilliant. I'm going to start doing that a lot more.
Just say,
I'm just with some authority. I'm just going to go, well. He completely refuted that.
They say the same about L. Ron Hubbard. Apparently, he told everybody on, close to when he died that it was all a scam, and they kicked him out of his own church. I'd love to. I don't know. Maybe he didn't. Who knows? I've heard it in that argument situation.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I can imagine Darwin not ever doing that at all. But. Yeah,
he was pretty sure, wasn't he? Like
he was pretty confident. He risked
everything.
He copped a lot of shit.
Yeah, a lot. Who was that? Who was that philosopher who said the Earth wasn't flat or something? Like that? No, it wasn't. No, it was a guy who got burnt. Who said something about like the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, and they burned him at the stake. And when they laid him down, they burned him, and he was, didn't scream at all. The only thing he said was, "I think this side is done." Like, turn me off.
Screamed like a bitch.
I bet he did. Of course you would. How could you not? Getting burnt to death. Yeah, and he's like, he didn't say a thing except, think this side's done. You had to scream.
Buddhist guys who did the protest in Vietnam?
Where he let himself on fire, self-immolation.
With petrol, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first breath you take,
it's your last.
That's your lungs gone.
Yeah. And, I mean, some of the petrol burn.
Fumes.
Straight in.
And all the flames follow that down.
Yeah.
And lights you inside.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So he couldn't scream. Okay. I thought, this is pretty bad.
This guy's tough as fuck. No, he can't scream.
He's just fucking sitting there.
But he didn't move though, did he? He didn't move.
He was shot. He was done pretty early. Yeah. Fuck. Brutal.
That's crazy though, man. Like imagine, fucking hell, seeing that for one and smelling it. Like you wouldn't have a barbecue for weeks after that. I would imagine. I mean, maybe a couple of days.
Straight. Get a bun me.
Regretted his decision. That's what I reckon.
Do you reckon
There would have been a moment in time where he's just like, oh fuck.
When your corneas are burning off you.
Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah. Bit of regret would come flashing
A
through.
little bit, yeah. Once the first layer of skin goes, and just skin. You know how people say there's like 7 layers of skin? That's got to be bullshit. It can't be 7 layers.
Depends how you count it, but
7.
But it just has logically. I mean, it's like
because I feel like that it's constantly regenerating over itself, right?
yeah. Well, it's like just keeps pushing up.
Yeah. What happens to the ones underneath?
So the ones on it starts off like alive and with blood vessels and stuff going through it, and then they become keratinized, and then they die, and then
so the top
outside layers form
die
dust.
off. Yeah, right. So I thought it was. I'm thinking the other way. Like, it goes from the top, and then they go into your body, and I'm like, what a fucking moron! Sorry.
Household dust, something like 90% human skin.
That's awesome. We breathe that every night. How many spiders do we eat every day? How many spiders do we eat in our sleep? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, no, I think hundreds, eh?
Yeah, fuck.
You have 50. You eat 50 in your lifetime. But whatever scientist fucking came up with that.
He must have.
Depends where you live as
He was
well.
watching someone.
Probably more in Australia.
Taking a tally.
24th floor of the Melbourne CBD apartment. You're not eating that many spiders there.
No, of course not.
I'll probably add me 50 here.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks.
A snake maybe as well.
But like I'd be surprised if they saw a spider in the Melbourne CBD in one of those apartment buildings.
Well, because there's no flies, and so like, what are they eating? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spiders. We talked about this, about what would happen if all the spiders went away, because I'm like, I don't like looking at them. But apparently all the flies would run away too. Oh, well, your flies would overtake the world. And
this where the evolution thing comes, everything's playing its part. It's food for another thing.
I could probably tell you a couple of people who I don't think are, a couple of like bottom feeding assholes. That's personal problems, don't worry about it.
Yeah, because everything's got its purpose, and when it no longer has it, it just dies, like everything it has.
The bumblebee's in trouble. The bumblebees are at jeopardy of being extinct for reasons I can't remember.
Yeah, and then that'll have its knock-on effect.
Yeah, apparently it's a big one too.
No
if the bumblebee
pollination.
goes, we're all in trouble.
Yeah, we're 100%.
I love bumblebees. They're cool looking.
Yeah, but we're going to die because of that, 100%. There's a volcano that could just erupt any point.
Yeah,
there's loads.
Yellowstone, yeah.
Yellowstone Park, the whole of Yellowstone Park, super volcano.
They reckon that'll be what goes. That'll take out.
That's clockwork, right? That one, that's like you can set your watch to the geyser, Yellowstone geyser.
Yeah, what's it called? It's called something old.
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful, yeah. But that's just a little geyser. Yeah. But the whole of the park, like for hundreds of square kilometers, is sitting on top of a super volcano, and whenever it blows, it'll take out the whole of North America.
Yeah, Cody's been doing some research on it, and
it's like bloody the San Andreas Fault. Like
it's
the San Andreas Fault's a thing.
Yeah,
what's that?
It's where they built they built San Francisco and shit on this fault line, which will just separate at some
like
point.
Like the whole west
city
coast of
will just crack off.
Yeah,
it'll just fall off into the sea. Yeah.
Yeah, well, LA's that, isn't it? It's on tectonic.
San Francisco's the big one.
San Francisco. Yeah.
Which isn't a million miles away from LA, but like San Francisco's the big one. It's right on top of a tectonic fault line, and when it cracks,
it's not a matter of
way overdue for doing, apparently.
So what's going to happen is it's going to...
San Francisco will just fall into the sea.
That sucks, because that's where a lot of really good stuff... Silicon Valley's in San Francisco, is it? So Microsoft...
And it'll be without warning too, so people will just be there...
Oh, yeah. They'll know, like they'll know a little
It's one of the troubles with human society generally. So volcanic soil is super, super, super fertile.
Yeah, the Amazon is full of it.
You know, it's like all the big cities in the world are round a river, because that's just how these things develop. Like it's
water,
ports, whatever. Big cities are always ports, and then all the big farming communities are all on volcanic soil. Like there's loads. Japan's full of them as well. Loads of Japan's. Like
you've been around Koroit in Victoria. Koroit towards Warrnambool, Port Fairy. huge Irish settlement there,
Right.
and it's all around this big, currently inactive volcano, farmland. Shit grows there.
Yeah,
It's
all day long,
gorgeous
yeah.
countryside too.
Because it's so fertile.
Yeah,
It's all-
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Dude,
'Cause whenever I was a kid, I always used to think like, oh, all these people caught by lava, and like,
What are they
what would
doing
you be
there?
How?
thinking of at the
Yeah.
bottom of a volcano?
yeah.
But it hasn't erupted for 500 years, maybe 5,000 years. So you're just like, yeah, this is nice soil. We'll take our chance.
What about 2012 or 13? There was the Japanese earthquake that fucked up a nuclear power plant, and that's
Yeah,
still
Fukushima, yeah.
yeah. That's pretty close. That was because of an earthquake or a volcano, or
Because of an earthquake, yeah.
Why
Well, one
would-
of the troubles with Japan is, though, you sort of can't build a nuclear plant anywhere in Japan. Without
it's
it
really
being-
hard because it's on a small little island next to two tectonic plates, isn't it?
It's the same thing. They're at the top of that ring of fire that goes all the way down through New Zealand, and because that's what got Christchurch. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck, because that's
It's just a big line that goes up.
Yep, and it's had a
Just-
bit of a shift by a few meters and just fucked everything, like really badly. But that's it kind of makes you wonder. Like, I mean, obviously they started to develop these places before they really had a good grasp on the frequency of these things. But makes you wonder
No,
why
it's
they
just like
build
if
that
you're-
shit there.
If you're in Australia, like I could see if you came to, because I often like look around Bendigo and go, "It's a good job. There's gold here."
Mm.
Like,
There's nothing else.
There's
you're gonna
no,
be
there's
dead
no
in one
reliable.
day. There's no water. There's
Man,
no nothing.
so a friend of mine is Dr. Jeff Russell, wrote his thesis topic on it, which was turned into a book. It's called Water for Gold, and it's on how the real marvel of Bendigo is their reservoir system. I haven't read it, but
Yeah.
I know what it's about because I was around when he was writing it. It's, and it's how Reservoir 7 and all of the reservoirs around Bendigo were wired up so that guys could mine gold and they could fucking live here and stay here. We're one of the only towns, probably in the fucking southern hemisphere, that's not built next to a reliable water source.
yeah,
There's
That's where the
not a
gold
lot.
is, that's the-
Yeah. Have you ever been to Fortuna Villa? Not familiar with Fortuna Villa?
I know.
Bendigo?
I feel like, oh, is it down Kang Flat there?
No,
actually?
it's in Golden Square, just near the hospital, the St John of God Hospital.
Yeah, I actually know the guy who owns it. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
have been
Mr.
to-
Banks.
yeah.
Paul and Julie Banks. I've been up there. I recommend going up there for a. They've got horses actually.
Yeah, that's how I know him. So
Yeah, of course.
he's taking me through it. Actually, He's
It's
taking me through
gorgeous.
it.
It's one of
Yeah.
the best buildings that you'll ever see. To the point where I went on a tour, and apparently fucking Walt Disney and Mark Twain have been to Golden Square. I used to live in Emmett Street, Golden Square, which is the end of the street that fucking Fortuna's on.
But what were they? Why
Because it was the biggest
Mark Twain?
home.
Why?
It was
why
the
Walt Disney?
It was the biggest. It was the biggest home. It was the biggest mansion in the world at one point.
It's huge.
It was massive. It's massive, and it was the biggest like domestic house that you could be in, and it was made of the best stuff. Because George Lancel was sitting.
So-
he built his house on top of his mine, so he could oversee all of the fucking people building.
You know the other
doing
one they've
gold
got.
for him.
It's called Lancel. It might be called Lancel Mansion or something like
Yeah.
that. Which is up around the back of Forest Street, and there's a tunnel. leads
Lancel
from
Manor.
There's a tunnel leads from his cellar all the way down
Down
to
the
the
mine.
pub in
Yep.
the middle of town.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where they used to transport shit secretly.
Yeah.
And they did. And the thing is, there's a channel underneath the building which would go all of the gold would go directly from the mine up to the fucking house, and like on a little conveyor. And there was guys that were working
Perfect.
around the clock underneath there and loading it all into the vault.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
And the
As good as
place
it
is
gets.
the place is a fucking. It is the closest feeling that you obviously we're all familiar with the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. If you ask me, one of the greatest movies of all time. It's fucking amazing. That I've always wished that I could be those kids going into Willy Wonka's factory without the systematic murder of children.
Yeah, they
obviously.
nearly all died.
They
didn't
did, yeah. They all went horribly, horribly wrong.
Careful what you wish for.
And then that fucking Grandpa Joe fucked it up by stealing the fizz lifting drink for poor Charlie. But the
Yeah.
feeling of going into that place, sitting down for a high tea, and then going through that building for a tour, it was the closest feeling that I've ever had to being those kids in that fucking Willy Wonka movie. It is the coolest thing that I've ever seen. You don't even have to be a history freak. Not that I am, but you don't even have to be a history freak to enjoy it. It's just so fucking cool. And when you go up, there's this little area, like a garden sort of green room at the top where Lancel had these French artists draw pictures of the miners mining and the Aboriginal people, but they'd never seen Aboriginal people before, so they had a written description that was translated to French for them, or Italian, whichever. I can't remember if it was French or Italian people who drew it. And they drew these guys that looked like mythic Greek people, because they were described as, you know, very tall, very dark-skinned with, you know, black curly hair, and they drew these guys with big beards and stuff like that that looked like Greeks, and the miners that they drew all looked like small little bearded, white bearded dwarf guys. And apparently that's where
Smurfs.
Disney had come and taken notes of that and used the likeness on that panel as his likeness for the seven dwarfs in the Snow White film in the what was 30s or 40s when that came out. And apparently he used a panel from fucking Fortuna in Golden Square up the road from Mum and Dad's. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? That's amazing. I lived in a house in Bendigo where George Lancel used to be notorious for being a cheapskate. He wouldn't pay his fucking contractors, to the point where they drove him out of the country. They put a coffin on his front doorstep that said his name on it and said, "Pay us, motherfucker. We're dying here. Our guys are dying. You won't look after us." They drove him out for 7 years. And anyway, there's guys who he wouldn't pay, so they would take shit out of fucking Fortuna and take it home and put it in their house. All these miners' cottages have these gorgeous LED light, and this is the one I lived in, had this gorgeous LED light around the front door of the house. It was a door straight out of Fortuna.
Really?
And they put it in their house. There's a guy in not Sedgwick. There's a guy in Dingy, just out of town, who has this ornate billiard room arched LED light piece in his lounge, which is straight out of fucking Fortuna, because the guy wouldn't pay him. So he goes, "Fuck yeah, I'm taking this and I'll put barn doors where they used to be." So he pissed off with this, you know, $10,000 piece back in the 1800s, which would be worth millions now. Or who knows? You know, I'm not evaluating this, but it's can't believe that there's still that stuff around. The Banks guys Paul and Julie have done a really, really good job of reaccumulating all of that stuff and putting it into the collection. You know, they're trying to bring it back faithfully to what it used to be, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, she's going around. I haven't seen it since. I saw it shortly after he bought it when it was pretty dilapidated.
Yeah, you got to see it now then, man. Book yourself a weekend. It's a good time.
I'll just get him to walk me around.
Yeah.
That
No, but you got to have the high tea. You got to have the high tea.
Yeah, Tommy doesn't have to book things. He knows people.
I don't book stuff.
Everyone has horses.
All the rich people, anyway.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, well, thanks for coming back on the podcast, Tommy. It was good. I had a good time.
Yeah, man.
It was good to be back doing it. It's been a while since we
Yeah.
have done a podcast. Just been having some trouble with our hosting service.
That's going to be a good time. Yeah.
Just pay them, for fuck's sake.
You reckon just pay them?
Well, I'm putting it out there as like something to consider. So
Yeah, I'm kind of sort of half leaning towards that. I've got a bit of fuck you about it, but I'm also like, you know, if we can keep pumping it as we've been pumping it, then it'll be worth doing. But at the same time, I think it could be a good motivator to get everything else running. You know, the Patreon stuff again, and, you know, looking after those guys and trying to bring more of that over and stuff like that as well. But at the same time, it's just one of those other things. It's like, oh fuck, another thing. For you guys who don't know, the our streaming host Wooshka has removed their free tier, which involves basically holding us at ransom. We don't have access to any of our stuff at all. We can't change, we can't upload, and anything else that we try to move to has a 5-hour limit, which means we're unable to. We've got fucking 80 hours worth of shit up. We can't host 5 hours. We can't go on a free tier for anything. The minimum that I've found is probably 25 American, which is what $30-$40 here, and a month. And I don't think our Patreon even covers that. So, like, you know, we'd be coming out of our own pockets. And, you know, at this point in time, we've laid off a little bit just to have a bit of a break, just to have a rest. And Cody's been ripping it up on YouTube.
I was just being super serious whenever I said just pay them, but
but
pay them.
It's well, that's the funny thing is that we do because it's about $60 Australian, which is, you know,
I'm not bloody doing it.
Yeah, on our modest wages is a bit of a fucking setback. It's a pain in the ass, but
we'll just go to YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too, is that it's going to suck that the listening platforms like the all the RSS feeds and Spotify will disappear. But I mean, for new episodes, because I believe the old episodes are still up. I checked today and yesterday, and they seem to still be there. But I just don't think we can do anything about adding new ones or changing them, which kind of sucks ass. But unless you guys have some friends and you want to come along and be a patron, we'd appreciate that too.
Yeah, absolutely. That was episode 52 with Dr. Tommy Russell. Thanks, mate. Thanks, guys, for listening. We'll be back next week, I suppose, and we'll do it all again. Thanks.
Great
Bye.
stuff.